Uh-huh. Okay. Listen. I have a few things to say before we get started. First of all, 720-619-2288. Call in and explain to me why a person would vote for Trump. Second of all, there's a possibility that this stream will abruptly end at some point. And usually that's because of my health issues. But today, it's actually because my computer's being a little bit of a funny boy. Thinks it's hilarious. But this is because I wanna. I'm Jimmy Snow. Today is September 21st, 2024. I hope I put that in the title. I really hope that the title includes that. I hope I remembered to update it. It doesn't say like whenever the last time we did it was, like July or some stuff. Let's see. Yep, I did. I remembered. I nailed it. And then I forgot I remembered. Why would you vote Trump? I'm Jimmy Snow. And first things first, Jimmy Snow has a podcast. It's available where podcasts are available. And it's awesome. It's so far been a lot of fun. You can go, it's on my YouTube channel, Jimmy Snow. It's on Spotify. It's on Apple. It's all that kind of stuff. Here's the calls I want. Here are the calls I would like to hear from. I've put posts out there. This is very last minute, so I don't know how long it's going to take to get a first call. But because I want to, I'm open to just ranting forever as well. Also, look what I can do now. Oh, shit. I knocked it. Hang on. Let's try that again. I can side eye the camera and then be like, what? 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 Except for that camera. This one kind of freezes sometimes randomly. Haven't figured out why that's happening either. Yeah, computer's being a silly boy today, to tell you the truth. As am I. As am I always. I'd like to know why people are voting for Trump. If somebody wants to call in and tell me why they believe in God, I'd take that call. I'd take that call also. And I also want to know about any particular issues. Somebody wants to make a case for the pro-life, quote unquote, pro-life movement. I'd take that call as well. 720-619-2288. 720-619-2288. I almost said it wrong. 720-619-2288. 720-619-2288. Why would a person vote for Donald Trump? At this point, with everything we know, why would a person still do that? It seems dumb. It seems obviously a problem. Also, another announcement, an important announcement. Let me see how many minutes we're in. We're at 3.5. Hey, people, how's my camera look? Is this camera, you guys getting smooth motion out there? Is it a little funky? Like I said, there's weird stuff happening specifically with my encoder, and I'm not sure what's going on with it. So we're checking on that. But the other announcement, I'm going to look into this camera and say it. Hey, Theo, happy birthday. That's for just one person in the world who I don't think knows that I know it's his birthday or that I am aware that he exists, but it is. Happy 25th birthday, Theo. Well done. All right. So I want to know what you're thinking. Tell me what's on your mind. Damn it. We're copyright struck now. Shit. It's over. We can swear now, though. So that's the good news. Copyright strike notwithstanding. Here we are, able to swear. We're 2 minutes in. That's what's important. Waiting for calls to screen. Waiting for calls to come in. 720-619-2288. If you believe in God, fine. We can do that. We always do that on here. If you believe in Trump, fine. Not just fine. Ideally, you would call. Not that just that Trump exists. I believe Trump exists. Unfortunately, I'm not an A-Trumpist. I'd love to be, for natural reasons. I realize the way that could be misinterpreted. I wish the world, I didn't have to deal with it. I wish that the stress of him coming back. And I don't know what to do with this. I don't know what to do with how many people are trying to make the case that that 4 years ago was better. That you were better off 4 years ago than you are now during the absolutely botched COVID experience where everyone was pushed indoors, where we didn't have a good distribution plan for vaccines, where they literally had to come up with that from square one when they got in. I don't get this, like, you were better off 4 years ago. But by the way, the things in which people even want to say, well, look at inflation. Look at the prices have gone up. Okay, well, you actually can't use inflation in the way of comparing to 4 years ago. You actually have to use inflation in the way of going, in the last 4 years, was that inflation inevitable? And if the answer is yes, is the president the cause of that inflation? And if the answer is no, then did the president do whatever he could to mitigate what inflation happened? And who would have done better with the inflation that did a result of the war in Russia and the war in Israel? And not to mention, let's not forget the other little thing, the deficit exploding tax cuts and the goddamn tariffs. If anything, during the last 4 years, Donald Trump contributed to inflation from his 4 years prior, especially with them tariffs. You raise the cost of input of goods, you lower the supply, that increases prices. What the fuck did you think was going to happen, you goddamn idiot? And yet, the West, in all the West, America is doing the best as far as how bad inflation was happening internationally. And it's not fun. It's not good. Here's the other funny thing. People will describe how Donald Trump is going to fix that. He's going to reverse it. They technically could be right, because Donald Trump may cause deflation, as in the percentage goes below. Right now we're below normal amounts. Inflation. Deflation, where you actually have the percentages below zero. Prices are going down. Do you know what that is? It sounds good if you don't know what it actually is. You want prices to come down in other ways. You want corporate greed to reduce. You want them to price more fairly. But do you know what happens if inflation actually goes negative? That's a sure sign of a recession, that we're in recession. So the people who are like, Donald Trump's going to turn that around, you might be right. Donald Trump might cause a recession, might cause a depression. Is that what you're looking for? Is that what you're wanting? Was that the goal? Jesus Christ. How are people this dumb? Let's see if there's people waiting. People ready to. Okay, good. Good. We do have people. Anyway, so once again, today's announcements. Jimmy Snow has a podcast. It's available where podcasts are available. The show could stop abruptly because Jimmy's encoder is being a little bitch. And Theo, happy birthday. Those are your things. I'm doing too many things at once. I'm soloing the show and the production and logistic stuff. Let's start taking calls. I think it's time. It is time. I didn't prepare name tags. I don't actually care about marking if a person's an atheist or a theist on this one, so I'll probably skip that because I don't know that it's relevant to more political calls. Maybe it'll come up, but I don't really care. Oops. Here, I copy and pasted and forgot to hit update. All right, let's do this. Let's talk to Roberto in Florida. Potentially a swing state is where Roberto's from. Roberto, I'm going to ask you to isolate from the background music or whatever's going on. It sounds like it might even be my voice, which would be the worst thing to hear in the background. Oh, horrible, horrible. I spend my entire life avoiding my own voice. Anyway, what's up, Roberto? You're going to vote for Donald Trump, it sounds like.
Yep, I sure am.
Sure. Give me your best reasons.
Well, the best reasons is, number one, he's a better candidate in the sense of, he's a business person. He has taken businesses, been very successful business person. That's one of the reasons why I voted for him in 2016 and 2020.
Okay.
So I believe that a person to run this country should be a good business person, because to be able to run this country like a business, he's a great negotiator. So when it comes to foreign policies and having to negotiate with other leaders of other countries, you need that good negotiating power. So definitely, I truly believe, I was kind of like listening to what you were saying about the economy, inflation, etc., and I still believe that he would be a better candidate to fix all that. And we were better off 4 years ago, and I can attest to that because I'm a truck driver. And as soon as he took office, about a year later, I saw that everything started going up after that. And as soon as Biden took office, our load started coming down. And let's not blame COVID for it, but
no, sir. No, sir. You don't get to poison the well and go, let's not blame the answer. That's like saying I have a runny nose, but let's not blame the flu for it just because I have a flu. So no, sir, Roberto. Do you have anything else you want to list before I take these down one at a time?
Go ahead. Go ahead and take the floor.
Hey, have you ever been on an airplane?
Of course.
How many pilots do they have?
2 pilots.
2 pilots, right. And how would you feel if we replaced one of the pilots or both of the pilots with a businessman?
Well, if a businessman doesn't know how to fly a plane,
yeah,
then it's a problem.
So why would you want a president, a person who is a head of policy, and you're talking about negotiation, which is a part of being a politician? Why would you think that a businessman is the most qualified person to run a non-business entity?
Because this is basically a business entity.
It isn't.
I mean,
it is not. It is wildly
yes, it is.
different. It is wildly different between the fact that we have sovereign borders that we have to defend on the international stage. It isn't the same as like, oh, us versus Russia. It's just like sir, Roberto, I didn't interrupt you. I let you list everything out. We will take turns respectfully, right? And by the way,
go ahead.
Well, you'll be able to gripe about Harris in a moment, but we're going to talk about the Trump administration. Donald Trump is a business person. You say he is a good business person. Donald Trump has declared bankruptcy several times. If you value the assets that Donald Trump actually inherited, the value of them is well over $400 million. And depending on how you evaluate them, they actually approach $1 billion. Had he put those into investment funds and let a random index actually run his money, he would actually be worth more today than running the businesses himself. Now, that said, there are specific times where it goes, holy crap, look at this thing he did. And he did it for under cost. Now go ask the unions and the builders and the people who were actually a part of that and how many people he actually stiffed. Donald Trump, as a business person, has shown that he has an acclimate for getting, that's not the right word. He has he is skilled at preserving himself, making himself richer at the cost, not just of other people, but other middle-class people and labor, that he will stiff them to be just a tiny bit richer. That is him as a business person. So if I were to say, look, a business person could be president and run the country the way he ran the business, I would apply that across the board. Donald Trump ran a business that apparently he wasn't aware was doing all of these racist things like marking black people's applications for homes with a C, as in meaning colored, to make sure that they didn't sell to them. He apparently doesn't know all of these things going on in his business. Everything his business did bad, he claims total ignorance of, but we're meant to treat him with, give him the country where he's going to be ignorant, apparently, of all the things going on. But then we gave him 4 years in office where he made all of these promises of things that were going to be great. And guess whose economy is outperforming his? Joe Biden's. Guess whose economy set up his? Obama's. In fact, I will say, was impressed. I thought Donald Trump would tank Obama's economy, but he actually was able to perform and continue growth at roughly the same rate until COVID hit. And yes, when COVID hit, truck drivers were fine, Roberto. The country was not fine. And there are in your state 1 million people dead who did not have to die because he botched regulating and keeping people separated, where the lockdown should be, and this sort of mixed communication from the right on how lockdown should occur and whether they should occur at all, the utilization of masks, but most importantly, the distribution of the vaccine, that he wants to take all the credit in the world for, as though he invented the vaccine. It was really my vaccine. And yet they had no distribution plan, which is what we found out when Biden got in office, even though we were at the point that they had vaccines ready to distribute. It ended up being a few governors that managed to get the first batches and make up the distribution plans because he had nothing. And the Biden administration came in and took that over. And again, when we're talking about the economy, by every measure that he gets to call his economy good, where we do use stupid tools like the stock market, Biden also gets to call his economy good. So if you're going to say that he's a great business person and the economy was better, the facts are against you. I'm returning the microphone to you. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Okay. So as far as the airplane being ran by a business person, the airplane does not take in any money. It does not, at least to be able to fly the airplane, it doesn't take any money. You don't handle anything regarding the airplane with money, etc. Whereas the United States does take in money in the form of taxes, which is more of a confiscation than revenue. But anyway, so it does take in taxes. It does have employees. It does have infrastructure, if you will, et cetera, that is ran by money, et cetera, et cetera. So this country does need to be run, like a business, for a business. As far as
you're just saying cliche. No, Roberto. No, you can't.
No, I let you talk.
No, sir. You didn't let me talk, but you're now trying to go to a new point, and we're going to stop one point at a time. You're just repeating cliches. If just listing a few things they have in common mean that it's good, I could sit here and go, okay, well, you know what else the president has to do? They have to oversee the success of our people in uniforms. They have to command strength. They have to instill confidence, and they have to make sure that enough people are attentive to what's going on to see profitable success. So you know what we need is a volleyball coach. You're just listing cliches. The greater point is understanding policy, which, by the way, his own cabinet said he had no idea, and trying to talk about Roberto, there might be a businessman who would be a competent president, but I guarantee you it won't be the one whose essentially entire cabinet abandoned him and now won't be voting for him because they say not only does he not understand the job, he is hostile to America and should not be the president again. But don't listen to me, a filthy socialist who dislikes him for obvious reasons. Listen to his vice president. And I only pick the best people. I pick the best people, only the best. His own vice president, the attorney general who got him out of indictment charges and wrote the report that basically lied about what the Mueller report said, the summary of the Mueller report, who basically saved him from additional impeachments and came in and was like, I'm here to Donald Trump bend over and show me where to plant it. That guy turned on him, and they are calling him a threat to democracy. So who needs enemies when you have friends like those, Roberto? Please, Roberto.
Can I, yes, can you hear me?
I sure can, yep.
Oh, okay, sorry. Okay, so can I tackle all these points that you
you can tackle whatever you want, buddy.
At me? Oh, okay, perfect, thank you. So let's go back to the bankruptcy issues. He filed bankruptcy on two businesses, and at the end of the day, there's a lot of factors, nobody's perfect. Nobody's a perfect business person. Nobody's a perfect person or anything like that.
Yeah, and some people aren't even good.
He hasn't filed bankruptcy personally. Okay. As far as him being a racist.
Okay, wait, Roberto, before you go on to the next point, I'm gonna respond to that one, but I will deal one at one. First of all, it wasn't only 4, and only 2. He has done at least 6, and there are additional ones for even smaller, like shell companies he had. But second of all, what was the second point you made regarding the bankruptcies? Oh, he didn't personally. Yes, Roberto, that is a thing rich people get to do. It's why rich people don't understand why even middle class and the low, whatever you call the lower class, the word lower, that's so degrading. But poor people, why they don't just make LLCs to basically run themselves. That is something that rich people get, is a way to go, all of the risks I do, all of the money I could owe people, all of that stuff, because I incorporated, I'm not fucked when this happens. That isn't a sign that he is a good businessman. That's a sign that he is a good con man. because he's been really good at losing other people's money and lying along the way of why it's happened. Now, if you want to go on to the racist point or respond to that, you're welcome to.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and respond to that. But Jimmy, right? Yeah, you're Jimmy.
Yep, that's who I am.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. So Jimmy, the laws are everybody has access to these bankruptcy laws. Everybody has access to corporations laws. And everybody has access to borrowed money for businesses and everything like that.
Incorrect. Redlining.
Yes, why am I redlining?
I'm telling you the answer. I'm telling you how you're not correct. Redlining actually still occurs today. We actually found out through investigations this year.
What's redlining? Excuse my ignorance. What's redlining?
Yeah, so they used to use it to just refer to the red lines they would put around zones and basically go, do not lend to black people who want to live here. Now you could just use it to go any sort of money that's supposed to be accessible to the public where there are policies and things in place that prevent them, or just people in place preventing them from going to black people. So for example, we actually found out this year that if you look at the GI Bill and the distribution of the GI Bill, the amount that it is denied to soldiers of color versus white soldiers is much higher, and that soldiers of color literally were having their GI Bills denied. And so, yes, when you say everyone has access to these things, you are speaking from a place of privilege, Roberto, because not everyone has had access to those things.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't agree with it if it's done in the sense of racism.
Yeah, no shit.
Because that's
what we're talking about.
I'm a Cuban myself. I'm relatively tan-skinned or dark-skinned, etc. So
yep.
I wouldn't agree with it. Now, if there's a statistic that says in this area there's more defaults, etc., and this and that, that's a reason for denying, for example, loans in a particular area.
I already said it, the GI Bill. Sir, already said the GI Bill, and if you want to look at poverty and the cycles that have put people into that, basically it is our own fault that these people have lower credit. And not to mention, it is also just harder to build credit if you are a person of color because of the different things. Like if your parents have property, your credit score will automatically be higher. So there are literally in place today racial systemic things that keep non-white people in poverty that have not gone away, that we are trying to rectify. But Roberto, I'm not impressed at the Biden's administration's ability to fix that either. Are they better at it? Yes. Are they good? No. So if you want to now move on to a different point about racism, I would still vote for a continuation of Biden, or what is the actual option, Kamala Harris, for being better. But we can now move on to another one since we've agreed that neither of them are good.
Yeah, that's fine. But as far as racism, let's jump into racism, since that was the next point that you.
They're eating the dogs.
About black, about him saying that he used the C for a color instead of I forgot what you said, but anyway, that doesn't matter. Have you seen that clip from Donald Trump in the 80s, late 80s, early 90s, where they're interviewing him and they actually ask him, if you were to be born again, how would you be born? And he answered, well, if I was to be born again or reincarnate, I would love to be born as an educated black person, because an educated black person has all these advantages, etc., blah, 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 for being a minority and this and that. Were you aware of that?
Oh, man, you killed me. You killed me. He's not racist. He just thinks that affirmative action is actually privilege over just simply existing as a white person. You got me, Roberto. I lose that one. This is sarcasm, Roberto.
Oh, I know. Oh, yeah, I know it's sarcasm.
Yeah,
now, good. Do you know that he also won the Ellis? I forgot.
Hey, Roberto.
The Ellis Award alongside with.
Let's get
with Rosa Parks and Muhammad Ali, and
Roberto. He also called the guy who called himself a black Nazi the MLK Jr. ×2. I love this guy, the Lieutenant Governor of North Carolina. Love this guy. Dude literally claims to be a black Nazi. Literally said that slavery is good and they should bring it back. and that he would own some people because some people should be slaves. So let's not sit here and pretend that if you go and run off, wow, was he able to go and align himself with the like obvious ones, which your two options are like Rosa Parks, from which he has some cultural separation, but who's going to, even Ben Shapiro talks about how cool what Rosa Parks did was, and Muhammad Ali, an entertainer. Right? A fighter and entertainer. Like, you're right. He's not racist. He just likes to watch him fight and recognizes the talent there. Are you going to ignore all of this shit? All the shit about talking about shithole countries, all of his, obviously the history with the Central Park Five, the fact that he felt he needed to be the head of the, let's really get to the bottom of this, whether the first black president was even born in America. And then now when Kamala Harris decided to be black, very conveniently, a completely fabricated lie, both of these things. And then let's not forget the most recent hits. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the dogs. People are having problems. We're going to shut immigration down. I'm going to be a dictator on day one. We're going to shut down the border. The guy is so full of shit, his eyes are turning brown from the inside. Please respond.
Okay, so as far as racism, I mean, Kamala always comes out saying that, oh, you know, like when she was in California, etc. It's a fact that, you know, she would identify herself as an Indian.
Great, cite the fact.
As Indian, and
Roberto.
Never
Hey, Roberto. Roberto. Roberto.
Okay,
Roberto.
Jimmy, you keep.
Roberto. Yes,
Jimmy,
you're right. I am interrupting you.
Me.
I am.
letting
I
you
am.
talk.
I am interrupting you before you go on to another point. Roberto.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you so much for permission. Roberto, it's accurate to say she is Indian. Sometimes when I meet an Irish person, I only mention the fact that I'm Irish. I don't bring up the fact that I'm British and a little German. And frankly, I have the DNA of an Aryan's wet dream. I'm a waste. I'm a waste of blood to the white supremacists, I'm afraid. But it is accurate in the appropriate zone. She, however, never isolated herself from the fact that she is black. By the way, Donald Trump's claim also includes that she is in fact not black. And then you have people who work for him trying to spread this bullshit idea that her father, for being Jamaican, doesn't countify as black, even though he has descendants from the African slave trade, literally is a descendant of Africans. It is accurate for herself to, in some scenarios, call herself black, and in other scenarios, call herself Indian. There is no evidence that she has ever, whenever it is in, you are in a specific area. It's not a thing of like, hey, everybody, I'm here addressing a crowd of black people from historically black colleges and I'm giving a speech. Don't worry, I'm gonna keep mentioning, and by the way, I'm a black woman, asterisk, also Indian. Did everyone catch that? And by the way, let me actually go get my 23andMe. None of the times you are talking about were conspicuous. And Roberto, I love the idea that your side thinks this matters at all, as though she got more or less votes for being... Sir, you were the one who said, you brought Kamala Harris up before any of us, before I did, and you're the one who brought up the Indian black thing. So don't lie and say you're the one who brought it up. I didn't bring up Harris. That was you, sir.
You brought up racism.
Correct. Correct. And you're the one who brought up the very silly point about Kamala Harris, which in isolation means nothing. Do you know that Donald Trump sometimes talks about being German despite the fact that he's also Irish? How come he's not? How come he's pretending to only be German? Why is that, Roberto?
Okay, that's fine, but
no, it's not. It's very important.
You can't call a person a racist.
Yes, I can.
If you don't,
they're eating the dogs.
You can't call a person a racist just because they've taken some of his words out of context. And
they're eating the dogs. Put they're eating the dogs in context, please.
They're eating. Oh no, but it is a fact. The problem is you haven't seen the people's. It is
incorrect.
It is a fact. The independent journalists are going into Springfield, Ohio, and talking to the people there that actually live there.
Right.
And they are confirming. Right. They're confirming it. Now it might be isolated incidents.
No, it's not even isolated incidents because they're not confirming. Roberto, anecdotes. Anecdotes.
Sure, yes, they are.
Anecdotes
Okay,
are
you
not
keep
confirmation.
Okay,
Yes,
go ahead.
I will interrupt as much
Go
as I want, buddy. That's what we're here. Sorry that I had you marked as an atheist caller. You're actually agnostic. I'll fix that for you. Roberto, anecdotes are
I
not
can't interrupt you, right?
correct. You can't interrupt me, but I can interrupt you all I want. Roberto, listen, let me put it this way. It'll make you feel a lot better. I've decided to be a dictator on day one, and this is day one. Now you'll feel better because I'm just like your guy. Roberto, they aren't. They haven't confirmed anything. They have gone to people, and those people go, "Oh yeah, I done seen they took that dog and they took." And in fact, when they actually investigated, for example, this week, the cat that had allegedly been taken by Haitian immigrants, that was the beginning of this rumor where they attached to a police report, and that's the one, not even in Springfield, mind you, but that's the one that started this whole thing off. Guess what they found? Actually, Roberto, you're a very informed person. What did they find when they went and investigated the cat that was reported to the police as missing and that they suspected Haitian immigrants had taken it and either killed it or eaten it? What did they find, Roberto, this week? You know.
Enlighten me. No, I honestly
oh,
don't know.
Roberto, so you know about, you don't, so you are here to say that you know, and yet the case that started this whole rumor, you don't know, Roberto. The cat's fucking fine and alive and was found healthy a few days later. That's literally the police incident that started the whole thing.
Where are you listening to this kind of news?
Roberto, I don't listen to much news. I read the news, and I will tell you this, Roberto, every place that you hope I read, Roberto, every place you hope I read, I also read. And then I check sources, and I make sure that there is actually confirming evidence. I don't just sit there and go, you got the wrong one, Roberto. If you think you're going to come on and be like, this guy just likes CNN. I think CNN fucking sucks. They are a sensationalist garbage. But the good news about journalism, and if you do print journalism more than you watch the shows, is a lot of times they source the actual shit. And so I go and I evaluate the best facts we have. And by the way, Roberto, it's not a happy ending. The story that we're talking about is not some happy story for her where it's like, oh, we found out now. I mean, not happy for the Republicans. Now that woman is hated by her neighbors for trying to get Haitians in trouble for her own irresponsibility with her cat. And that's the fucking problem, Roberto, is you want to sit here and go, how can you accuse them of racism when in fact, all of these facts that you're saying are true? Even if they were, he repeated them before any confirmation. But the fact is that they aren't true. And that when you actually investigate them, all you get are my friend Billy Bob Billy.
Are you absolutely
he got
sure
him.
about that?
Yes,
Are you
positive.
absolutely
Positive.
100% sure that
Positive.
it's not true?
Positive.
Have you gone to Springfield, Ohio yourself?
That is a logical fallacy that if I went, whether or not I went to Springfield, Ohio, the claim was that we would be able to look through the police records and the 911 calls and hear all of these problems. And the fact of the matter is, Roberto, a claim made without evidence can be dismissed without evidence. And when you look for the evidence, not the anecdotes for this, it is easy to dismiss.
Is it possible that they're being biased and not showing other evidence? In other words, withholding other evidence and other calls
Roberto,
to push a narrative? Is that possible?
Roberto,
yes or no?
Roberto, in Springfield, Ohio, are you under the impression that that is a leftist location? Are you under the impression that that is a place that votes for Kamala Harris? You know that the reason why Donald Trump is going there now is because he has to recover because he might accidentally turn Ohio into a swing state. That area is so pro-Trump, it makes their nipples hard when he so much as sneezes. And it's those people, Trump's people, the mayor of Springfield, the governor of Ohio saying, please stop. Because Roberto, he also isn't coming out and condemning the violence that is now happening directed at Haitians. No, there's a lot of very concerned people. And he even had to try and switch the day after. I know I said cats and dogs, but now I'm going to say geese. And I wish they were eating the geese. Fuck geese. Who needs geese? That's not pets either. Nobody's got pet geese. Nobody good anyway. Roberto, everything you're saying is just it's funny because you want to come in here and go, well, you're just the left news. Who are you watching? Which is very telling that you say watching when in reality you're repeating Newsmax. You're repeating Newsmax. You're repeating UAN. You're repeating Fox News. Okay, Todd, you're repeating Todd. Thank you. Thank you.
And talk to people in Springfield.
You're repeating
Ohio.
Todd, right? Todd. The phrase "I'm an
Todd,
independent."
I don't even know who that is.
I just made up a name. That's your independent journalist. I'm an independent journalist, and I'm telling you it's not happening. So now I've made a claim. They've made a claim. Let's see who has the best foundation for what to believe. Last point, Roberto. I'll let you have the final word.
Oh shoot, we didn't even. We
didn't even talk I got more calls. I got more calls, man.
Truck driver, COVID.
Great. Go ahead. Give it your all, buddy.
All right.
Ugh.
All right, perfect. So
mouth stuff.
So basically, during Trump, even before COVID, the economy was moving forward. I saw it myself with trucking. The national debt. He kept the national debt. I mean, Obama gave him the biggest national debt, ever. And he tried to keep it, his first 3 years at about very close to 1 trillion. It was going up 1 trillion until
wrap it up, Roberto. Last Roberto. Last word doesn't mean Gish Gallop. Wrap it up. Wrap it up, buddy.
Right. So yeah, basically, based on the way he handled his 4 years, he is definitely a better candidate. Kamala Harris that doesn't even know what she's
Kamala. Her name is Kamala.
Or anything like that.
Her name's Kamala. It's been long enough. You can get the name right. Thank you, Roberto. Have a good one. It's Kamala. It's not that hard, people. Kamala. Comma. The little thing. La. It's easy. It's like the most basic syllables we have, too. We're not asking you to remember a name like Alexandria, Cornelius, Frankenfurter, Kamala. It's so easy. Goodness sakes. Don't know why that. I'll take it very quickly. Give me just a moment. Let me get this new name tag ready. How y'all doing, by the way? How's everybody? Everybody getting to it. Get stupid. Mark in Colorado. We're gonna make this probably quick because I don't know. Well, we'll see. We'll see what you're talking about. You wanted to call in. You're not voting for Trump, but you have a discussion about identity politics that you want to bring up. Go for it.
I understood the question is why are people voting for Trump?
Mm-hmm.
So it does kind of boil down to a sense of identity. He doesn't really encapsulate anything they really believe in. But he's the Republican candidate, and he says all the things they want him to say.
I got you, Mark. Hey, Mark.
Part out loud.
Mark, yeah, I got you. I'm sorry for wasting your time on hold, but I can also speculate on why Trump voters are voting for Trump, and I'm sure we'd have lots of the same information, but I mostly want to hear from Trump voters themselves. So I'll give you like 1 minute to give your full summary. You got about 60 seconds, and then we're going to jump to other calls.
No, it's just basically because it fills their sense of identity.
Okay.
They raised conservative. I was raised conservative, so that's kind of why I have some insight on this. I used to be a big Republican.
Yeah, me too.
So.
Me too. Big time.
So, and that's just kind of how it basically boils down to, because we're humans, we're tribalists, and if you're not us, you're against us. And unfortunately, it's gotten a bit worse in our country as of late.
Yeah.
So
totally agree.
That's all.
Thanks, Blaze.
Have a good day.
Have a good one. Oh, I said Mark, because I'm about to talk to Blaze. Blaze in Alabama, you're on the line with Jimmy Snow. By the way, Blaze, did you know that Jimmy Snow has a podcast?
Yes, sir. I watch you all the time, man. Huge fan.
Appreciate it. All right. Well, that's sweet. It said you're voting for Trump, so I might be about to disabuse you of any fandom, but let's see what happens. Go for it.
No, I agree with you on a lot of other topics, so it's all good. It's all fan.
Yep. Anyway, go ahead. Give me your best shot.
Well, I'm just basically a two-issue voter. Gun rights and border policy. I agree with the more conservative side of those two issues. I don't tend to really get into the politics of each candidate, and then to be honest, I don't think Kamala really even clearly states her. Kamala, is that not what I said?
You said Kamala.
Okay.
like the
Kamala.
like Kabbalah, like the Jewish mysticism. Kamala, like the chameleon. Kamala chameleon. Go ahead.
Got you.
What is the
So what is Kamala
what is
on
the
that?
gun rights policy put forward by Kamala Harris and Tim Walz?
See, that's what I'm not sure, because she said many different things on the issue.
She has most recently said, "We're not coming for your guns," and this week said, "I have a gun. If you try to break into my house, you're going to get shot." What has Donald
And in
Trump said about it?
2019, she advocated for gun buybacks and to take AR-15s.
Uh-huh. Has Donald Trump ever advocated for taking away assault rifles?
I'm actually not sure. Has he?
I think he has. Also,
I don't know.
Also, of between the Biden administration and the Trump administration, which one of them passed a gun law that the Supreme Court deemed unconstitutional?
I don't know about that either. Like I said.
Yes, that happened this year. That happened this year. Donald Trump had passed a ban on bump stocks. That was his answer to a problem that it wasn't going to solve anything. However,
I agree. ETS is stupid. I agree.
yeah. And so he, no, I think we should ban bump stocks, and I would ban way more than these people. Let me ask you a question. Who said the following quote? "I generally oppose gun control, but I support the ban on assault weapons, and I also support a slightly longer waiting period to purchase a gun." Was that Joe Biden, Donald Trump, Barack Obama, Kamala Harris, or George W. Bush?
No idea.
That was Donald Trump in his book, The America We Deserve, which came out in 2000. So far what we have is two people who have said different things, and right now we can only say what their position on the issues are now. We also know that Donald Trump is extreme right and has discussed being authoritarian, and that his his Agenda 47, which has a tremendous crossover with Project 2025, has many means by which he will remove authorities and give himself sole authority. Now, if you have any worry, by the way, that he is as authoritarian as he says, that he actually would try to become as best he could a dictator on day one and ahead, you might look to history and see what the ultra right-wing people do when they get into power. Do you know what one of the first things they do is? I'll just tell you rather than make you ask me. They seize the guns. The actual, if you are truly a two-issue voter right now, she actually has, if you're going to look at the past, the stronger position and is herself a gun owner. And by the way, let's see how his policies adapt now that guns keep being used against him. So let's get rid of that the past matters, that the flip-flopping matters, because they're both flip-floppers. Blaze, I'm a gun owner. I have an assault rifle. I live in Texas, where arguably some of the greater quote-unquote border issues happen, and I still see on those issues Harris and Biden as the superior people. By the way, part of that with immigration is the fact that he wants to just blanket apparently stop it. He just wants to get immigration gone, which would be devastating for the economy. Absolutely devastating. Whereas there is sort of more leftist people like myself who are trying to push Democrats into the direction of, please make immigration much easier. Please make Ellis Island. Let's have a more Ellis Island style policy where it actually becomes easier because you get to spend the resources on vetting the people who are red flags, that would be the equivalent of felons. And then we get to flood the country with very good, capable workers and continue to have the explosion and innovation and all of the benefits that we had in the past from immigrants. Let's do that. So I, however, do not like Biden's current approach to it, which has now gotten it down to below levels, net immigration below levels. Yes, there was a problem before, but I wonder, Blaze, how you can sit here and say then that Donald Trump is better on immigration. We've already shown that you can't actually say one or the other is better on guns, but actually the record on guns is worse on Trump than Biden or Harris because he was the one deemed unconstitutional by the Supreme Court and also flip-flopped. So on immigration's now down, and Donald Trump, because he wanted to prevent himself from not being able to run on immigration, actually sank a bill called Congress, said don't pass it, even though the Republicans were going to get more than they were ever going to get in that bill. In fact, Blaze, should Donald Trump win, the bill that comes out of his administration will have less because the Democrats will no longer have a motivation to actually work with Republicans to trade off. So the most conservative, and you said you agree with the conservatives on it, bill that not only ever existed, that I'm glad failed because it was cruel and unusual punishment to immigrants, in my opinion. I'm glad it failed so we could maybe do actually something good in the future. However, if you like the conservative position on it, it was not only the most conservative of the past, but also realistically of the anywhere in the near future. And Biden has now gotten crossings down below Trump levels. So again, I ask you, Blaze, you've already, I think, agreed that gun rights, it could go either way. We don't know. They both have similar histories of flip-floppiness. So now on immigration, with all of that in mind, how can you say that on the two issues, Donald Trump is the better president?
Well, okay, so based out of everything that was said, it sounds like that it's pretty sad that we're not even sure what the exact policies and candidates that either candidate will make. But are you saying that?
I know that one lies less, so I trust Harris more than Trump when Harris says, we're not coming for your guns. I own a gun. If you come in my house, I'm going to shoot you. Or however she put it, you're going to get shot.
Other Republicans, like as the Republican Party as a whole, voting for a Republican president, you think they're more likely to pass laws that will end up affecting me as a gun owner? Or do you think the Democratic
Blaze, are you
Party...
white? Are you white, Blaze?
Yes.
How old are you?
24. Never voted. It's my first time.
You middle class?
Yeah.
Yeah, your guns will probably be fine. Do you care if people who are not middle class and are not white, that if they actually increase regulations specifically targeted toward people who are just as law abiding as you, but using the same sorts of things they use to voter suppress, to redline, to make it harder for people of color to get guns? I imagine that will be the first stage. But again, I'm not sitting here saying I know for sure what's going to happen. I just know what the history of authoritarian right-wing people are in the world. They tend to love to take the guns. And I know that the basis upon which you gave was that we have two people who have said, here's what they would do. Here are their plans. On the Harris side, their plan is literally also stuff that's not going to stop school shootings, but it's the things that 90+% of Americans agree on. Universal background checks, no gun show loopholes, trying to make sure that people can't just assemble a gun from the internet, that sort of thing, where literally the things that if you were a criminal, you would go, thank goodness those loopholes are there. And if you were law abiding, it wouldn't bother you at all. Those are the ones they want. Donald Trump won't do those things because they're unpopular with the NRA and he has that money. He wants that money. So sitting here and going, are you, Blaze, as a white middle-class man in Alabama, going to have your guns taken away? I would say if you have a bazooka, both of them will probably come for that, but actually you are technically safer in Harris's hands with your guns, I think, than Donald Trump.
Okay. I mean, I was with you all the way until the last sentence.
I
thought
feel
you were going to say that I'm not likely to get my guns taken away. And so, but my assertion was that I would be less likely under a Republican, which my state would be Republican either way, I guess.
Do you have bump stocks, Blaze?
No, I mean, no.
Would you like the option to have bump stocks?
I mean, yeah.
Great. So only one of the candidates in the race were part of an administration that blocked bump stocks and were found unconstitutional. So if we are looking at past as precedent and going, they both flip-flopped, but the one who took action was Donald Trump.
Yeah, so like on that issue, I would not agree with Donald Trump.
Right. So far, literally, if we just look at the score and you go, who's better, his score is worse. I would actually love to see them have a shooting. I think they should shoot off. I think they should go to a gun range. I bet Harris can outshoot him too. I bet he doesn't actually know how to turn the safety off of his gun. I just suspect that's true.
You think he's never shot a gun before, Trump?
No, I think he's shot guns that have been handed to him and then they've reached over and turned the safety off. I think he has a safety off guy.
Okay. Yeah, and then and the other thing is, I just want to ask, as a fellow atheist or whatever.
Yep.
What is, and like you, but see, the problem is we already said that we don't know Kamala's, or even we don't know their exact stance on what laws are going to be, with the border. We don't know what the exact.
She has absolutely, yes, she has absolutely put a border plan down, and essentially it would be a continuation of the Biden policy with hopefully a massive expansion of judges at the border, a massive expansion of processors to move through asylum cases more, and would at least be better overall. Donald Trump is shut it down and bastardized them. Donald Trump, by the way, has been talking about these plans that he's had for years. Didn't release them as a candidate, then didn't release them as a president, then didn't. The guy's number one answer was build a wall and Mexico will pay for it. Well, guess what? When it came time for the wall, and he described it, it was going to be made of concrete and rebar. You'd walk along the top. You're not getting up there. And even if you get up there, you might not get down. Well, unless you have a rope. That was his own words. He figured it out as he was talking. But it was going to be this big, beautiful wall. And instead, they jutted a bunch of iron dicks out of the ground, just jutting up into the air. It's not even a wall. And it's actually super easy to modify it with existing tools from like a Home Depot into essentially being the supports of your ladder. Even the wall he built isn't a wall, and it sucks. So what few policies he actually did pursue, he sucked at it.
Matt Dillahunty just roasted me. That's what's up. Fucking highlight of my life right there.
You did make it easy, Blaze.
Well, no, and then I'm just, not necessarily. I wouldn't say I'm wrong necessarily just because he said that. It's not easy.
Blaze, I extended
so
you basically the courtesy of, since you said you were a 2-issue voter, I'm only going to the 2 issues. I will actually say the more contemptible position of yours is that you are a 2-issue voter. That's massively contemptible.
The voters really don't, on both sides, they truly don't understand the policies, and they're voting based off bias and emotion. Just like a theist, they don't actually use logic.
Right, Blaze, but one of them's more right than the other. I am too autistic to do the things you just described, and that's why we're having a discussion not just based on emotion, and why I'm bringing to you, when you assert things, facts that you were apparently unaware of. You hear when Trump says Harris flip-flopped on guns, but you don't know he's flip-flopped on guns. So as we have these people,
I didn't hear Trump say that. I watched a video of her saying that she would advocate in 2019 for a gun buyback and banning AR-15.
And you watched
then I watched her during the debate recently saying the exact opposite.
And I assume that you watched that on a platform that didn't then go, by the way, here is the almost word for word same thing Donald Trump wrote in his book. But again, Blaze, I find it far worse. I find it far worse to sit here and hear that you're a 2-issue voter. When again, on guns, Donald Trump's score is worse. They have put forward their current stance on it. Their current stance is actually roughly the same. So now you would go, which one do I trust more? And hopefully you would evaluate that by which one lies less. And I don't think, Blaze, you said that because it's only these 2 issues. That must mean that you don't also then think Donald Trump is a truthful man. I assume you're aware that he's full of shit. But the fact that you think immigration and guns are the top 2 issues, immigration, you could even argue, is a top issue. I just don't think the Republican approach to it is. We right now have really crappy immigration laws, and we treat immigrants like shit, even though they are the lifeblood of our country. But he doesn't call them the lifeblood of our country, Blaze. He calls them vermin. He says they're poisoning the blood of our country. Literal Nazi shit. But once again, I'd love to know how he is better on immigration if the Biden administration now has more powers to shut down when there isn't an emergency crisis like COVID, the border, and has crossings below, including legal crossings, mind you, asylum crossings below him. The thing I hate the most about the Biden administration is time after time where it was inconvenient to stir the apple cart, they actually kept really shitty or put back into place really shitty Trump administration things, like the stay in Mexico policy. But, but that's me. So Blaze, we've gotten your 2 issues, and I think we've neutralized them. There's no way you can say by any metric he's better than the two on them. So what policy would you like to go to as a third if we now need to, if you acknowledge that everything I've said, provided I haven't lied to you, which I haven't, but you can look that up later. What third issue, since he doesn't win on the first two? Because for me, I just go with human rights. The fact that if we have the Supreme Court continue to get radicalized even worse, we absolutely are going to see marriage rights continue to get worse. Or we could go for human rights external to us. And the fact of the matter is that while they are both bad on the issue, less people will die in the Gazan genocide if Kamala Harris is the president than Donald Trump. Donald Trump would love to let them just nuke the place, except for that would ruin the beachfront property. So he doesn't want literal nukes, just a metaphorical effective nuke. Which direction would you want to go with it? Healthcare, Blaze? You're in Alabama. I know your healthcare isn't good.
Well, to be honest, personally, I would go if it's like a personal. Well, it's more like a state's issue. I don't know if the federal government involved, but it would be the prison systems in Alabama are pretty bad. So you ask me, that's a whole different topic. You asked me about
what's the worst thing about the prison? If you could, in a succinct, just phrase, and if you want, I'll tell you mine. What would you say the worst thing about the American prison system is? Would you like me to give you mine?
Business, essentially.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, Blaze, I'd hug you if I could. There are for-profit prisons which incentivizes the police to put more people in prison. Their business model, it's kind of like dating apps, Blaze. Dating apps suck because they're good. What does it mean to be good? It means they're profitable. Which is more profitable with a dating app, Blaze? If the dating app gets you to come back to the app by giving you matches based on like bullshit standards that eventually are going to fail and you're going to actually very surface level shit, make it a game of swipe and dopamine hits and all that stuff, is that going to be the better profitable model, or the one that actually helps you find a partner and increases the odds you never have to come back? You don't have to answer, Blaze. I know you know the answer. The profit model is ripe for abuse, and we've made Tinder the prison system. We're going to swipe left as much as we can to get as many prisoners in this fucking place. It's not a perfect metaphor, but stick with me. It is incentivized. They are incentivized to put you in prison to not only make them a profit, but also flood the markets or certain services with cheaply made goods by prisoners who don't deserve to be there. That's why I myself will state definitively, sometimes to disagreement with people I'm very close to, the American prison system is modern day slavery. It's what we did. It's what we have turned into slavery. So Blaze, of the two, which one backs? Oh, I have to look into this chat that I'm saying. Which one backs?
Yeah, they're hating on me. I apologize. I'm sorry, Matt. I'm sorry. I didn't know it was an offensive term.
Thank you, Blaze, thank you, Blaze, for apologizing. Now stop looking at chat.
See, freedom. You don't have freedom of speech. Like we were having a good conversation.
I'm not hanging up. I said thank you, Blaze. Now don't look at chat anymore, because I want to keep the conversation between us. Blaze, which one of them is for-profit prisons, and which one of them is for prison reform?
Well, based off personal, I already looked into it, but based off personal experience and anecdotal, it seems like the people in the South, Southern prisons, Republicans, but they're not doing a very good job, and they're just all about profit.
Yeah,
I seen an ad the other day that was based off prisoners getting interviewed after they got out, how they were working at McDonald's and stuff and getting paid like half as much as the other actual workers and treated like dirt. So yeah, I agree with everything you just said.
Great. So you should vote for the Democrats because they are better on it. Blaze, I'll tell you this. You're in Alabama, so it doesn't matter very much. But if you really, I hope that with this conversation, you look into everything that I just brought up, everything we discussed, we backed and forth. And at the very least, if you really just sit there and go, I can't bring myself still to vote for her because some latent thing underneath, which I have a suspicion I know what it is, Blaze, but I'll tell you what, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt that it isn't.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah, sure, Blaze. I think that in the case of you, a person who is going to so easily fall for all of these things and go like, yeah, but Trump just seems better when the information is so obviously available. I'm not an oracle. I suspect that you have some latent sexism or racism that you aren't even necessarily aware of, and maybe you even reject, you don't want to have it. But the idea that he is appealing and she is not, when she's better in every way, it is the most, if I Occam's razor the shit out of it, it is the simplest answer. And Blaze, if you between now and then can address that and deconstruct it.
Politicians, they're both on par, to be honest.
What's that?
To be honest, as if I'm looking at them objectively, as both two politicians, they're both terrible. They're not both. Neither one of them's a good public speaker.
Hard disagree.
I don't think
Kamala Harris is a very impressive public speaker, but that isn't any. I would never base my vote on who was a good public speaker. I voted for Biden, and he's a dog shit public speaker. Harris is quite good.
I'm named Blaze, by the way, after Blaze Pascal. People,
that's cool.
Why they keep saying that. Okay,
all right, stop looking at chat. Stop looking at chat. Let's wrap this.
Sorry.
We are gonna wrap this up, though. I don't want to go too over on every call. But
okay, well, my last statement.
Great.
As fellow people that are atheists. And I don't know what your personal opinion is or what Kamala will end up doing with the border.
Kamala.
There has to be, obviously, a moderate approach. You can't just allow the borders to be wide open, and you don't need to just shut them down to people either. Because
you actually can.
There's going to be people like religious. You would just want to unvet religious people, religious extremist people.
Sir, that's not what I said.
That could come into our country. You don't think that would be a possibility?
Sir, I never described not vetting immigrants. I described an Ellis Island style, which was some of America's proudest moments. Of course you vet, but you don't make it hard, and you don't make the process long, and you don't make it so difficult to get legal status here. You make it way easy, and it's going to be delicious. It's going to be a delicious future where immigration is much, much more open. I'm not saying you let everybody in. Anybody who's the equivalent of a felon in other countries, especially violent felons, I don't give a fuck if they, committed a felonious tax crime in their dictatorship country. But the borders, nobody is suggesting open borders. Again, Blaze, my problem with the current administration's approach was they actually adopted far too much. Anyway, Blaze, thank you for calling. I hope you will think about it more. And I hear you when you say that they're both terrible, but one of them is a bowl of shit, and the other one is all of the shit that was ever shit in the entire world. Eat the single bowl of shit, Blaze. Plug your nose and eat the one bowl.
All right, man.
Good luck to you,
like I said, I'm a fan.
Thanks.
Shout out Matt Dillahunty.
Yeah.
And y'all have a good one.
See ya. I don't know what people's... I don't understand when somebody says this, and I know you put it as a super chat, and that's very sweet and all, but I'm not going to go easier on it. Walz is a fantastic speaker. Harris is not. Harris does very well at commanding a room. She's actually quite funny of a person, and that's from me, the funniest person to ever live. So let's talk about the weight of that endorsement. However, she uses a lot of black mannerisms. She sometimes will switch into a bit of town speak. Is that the issue? She does laugh at her own jokes quite a bit. I don't care about people call it a cackle. And that's something that everybody's different. You know what, Blaze? Not Blaze. Whoever the person was in chat. Listen, you know who I try to make laugh? Just me. And if everybody else laughs too, that's great. But I'm really making jokes for myself. So I'm not sure what you mean, because she's actually a very capable speaker. I do prefer some versions of her from the past where she was less careful. I hate that they currently have a do no harm policy. But I don't know how you watch that last debate and see when she kind of let up on that, when it wasn't as big of a deal to try not take any risk, when she felt willing to do risk. When she's not willing to do risk, she just sounds like a prosecutor. And by the way, Tim Walz sat right next to her and did the exact same thing when he's taking no risks. But she can goad a person into hanging themselves with their own shoelaces, as she did Trump. She's extremely capable in debate, and she is good at articulating things. I imagine that there are some people, and I'm not going to say it's the chat, or I'm not going to say it's anybody who goes, I just don't like it. But again, if I approach it with Occam's razor, I think there's probably some latent sexism there. And it's incredible that people think Donald Trump is charismatic when the guy is just odd. Charisma was never about being, he's charismatic the way a train crash is. You have to look. All right, let's find out. This is Rich in Pennsylvania, who is a theist voting for Trump. So I think that's going to inform some of this. But Rich in Pennsylvania, you're on the line with Jimmy Snow.
Hey, Jimmy, how are you?
Just peachy.
Listen, you made a comparison about who you'd want flying a plane.
Mm-hmm.
Who you want? Well, I don't know if I'd want a color girl other than
Hey, Rich.
Carmela to be flying the plane.
Hey, Rich. I want you to hear this in your heart of hearts and your soul of souls. Fuck off, you Nazi prick. All right. Well, that was fun. I heard him right. I don't know if I would want a colored girl flying the plane. Am I wrong that that's what he said? I'm pretty sure that that's what he said. If I got it wrong, call back. If I didn't, never mind. I didn't get it wrong. Go fuck yourself, you Nazi prick. Oh, damn it. I didn't put in the effort yet to get the next call queued up. I was gonna try to while that call was getting started because I thought it would be low effort, to tell you the truth. And unfortunately, that Nazi prick will vote, and in Pennsylvania, likely, if that is where he was really from. Let's see. What was his area code? Oh, it for some reason has only removed him from my history and not the other people. Dum da dum dum dum. Your parents should have returned you. What a missed chance at an abortion. Dum da dum dum dum. John in Florida. How are you doing, John?
Hello.
Hello, John.
How are you?
I'm fine.
Yeah, I want to preface my statement by saying I'm an atheist, a very ardent, militant almost atheist.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Trump is a complete idiot, saying he sure got lucky with the assassination attempt, then following that with God saved him from the bullet. But didn't God
I am the chosen one.
Yeah, God killed that guy and almost killed the other two that were wounded next to him. So Trump is an idiot, but I think he's a million times better for America and for me than a lefty demon rat. And yeah, I'm going to call him demon rat, if you don't mind.
I mean, I do mind because it's just a dumb thing to say, and I'm not going to use... It feels like poisoning the well a little bit when you're going to set up a dichotomy, and first of all, you're going to call him a lefty when he's not. Or she's not. I don't know which one you were going to call lefty. Did you vote for Trump in 2020?
I did not. I'm 28. I have not voted yet.
Okay.
But I'm going to vote this time around, and I'll tell you why.
Sure.
Democrats let in millions of illegals with no end in sight. What do you want? 5 billion illegals, one half the world here stacked on your head, huh? Because I'm going to vote for Trump because I have empathy for the girls, and I have girls in my family who are 12 years old,
Great.
10 years old.
Oh, I love it. Fuck yeah. Fuck
wait a minute. Can I finish?
No. I'm cheering you on. Keep going. I'm so excited finally for a real argument. I'm not totally about to embarrass the fuck out of you at all.
Okay,
Go ahead.
Set me up. Let me finish, and then
I'll
set myself up. You can get at me. Okay, so I have
Thanks
empathy,
for the permission.
unlike you, for the girls who've been brutally
unlike me, John. John, unlike me.
Interrupt me again?
Unlike me. Well, John, you said unlike me, so you just fucking lied. Yeah, I'm gonna interrupt every time you lie. Unlike me, John. Actually, John, you're right. I should have more compassion. So, John, I need to vote
You're a big mouth
to get
asshole,
rid. John, you literally said I have no compassion for girls who are being murdered.
Speak.
John, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. You're a little bitch,
moron.
John. Oh, I'm a moron. You literally have come in here and lied and started
I knew you were going to interrupt me every...
no. Yeah, I am going to interrupt a fucking liar. Now you're muted, John. Now you don't get to talk on the air again until I give you permission in my benevolence, John. If you lie again and say I don't have the compassion for them, yeah, I'm going to fucking interrupt. John, I have so much compassion for them. I'm going to make it illegal to be in this country if you're part of the demographic that most often abuses them. white men. So, John, are you a white man?
You lefty.
Oh, you talked the whole time you were muted. Okay, John. You know what's funny, John, is you're sitting here thinking that you've proven something, but I've literally had discussions that ended with kind words from 2 Trump voters so far. It's weird that you're the exception, but you think that's my fault because they got to say their piece. Yes, there's going to be interruptions, but they weren't hostile dumbasses. John, are you still talking? Let's see. Let's check in. Oh, wow, John, you stopped to listen for a moment. So, John, do you want to try a take 2? Or do you want to just be an arrogant dick face and lie and commit fallacies?
And I'll take a take
Great.
3.
If you don't lie about my character, you can get your whole 30 seconds.
In the process.
Oh, are you going to take me out? Go ahead. Go ahead, buddy. Go ahead, buddy boy. But if you lie again, I'm interrupting you again.
I have girls the age that illegals brutally.
John, a little louder. You're coming through very quietly.
My
John, you're coming through quietly. Could you go a little louder? Get closer to the phone, John.
Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me okay?
Okay, you're very quiet, John.
No, I'm not quiet. You're bullshit.
He figured it out. Oh, no. I don't give a fuck, dude. You're going to make up stories about these anecdotes of, I know these people. Okay, maybe you do. I have no reason to believe you versus any other, but there is no doubt that people have died by immigrants' hands. And we have a justice system to handle that. Do you know who more often dies? Who are more often the perpetrators of these murders? By a lot, non-immigrants. In fact, illegal immigrants commit less crime than legal immigrants and natural citizens. By a lot. Because they don't want the attention on them. So if you're going to call in and try and just repeat racist shit and then interrupt, and then while on mute, just, you're a lefty bastard. John, I already know you're going to vote for Trump. Because it's your brain that's the problem. And I think that might be the answer to the title question of the episode. But let's have a good, respectful one with somebody else who actually wants to chat about these things and not just be a condescending racist and repeat cliches. And who isn't going to sit there and try and poison the well and commit fallacies and load up his language to make it, unlike you, my point will come with an accusation. My point is so strong that I have to include ad hominem within it. That's how strong it is. I can't tell the truth and I can't make it just the point itself. I need to, and by the way, please don't ask how I am in bed, because that's why I'm here talking to you and being a dick. It's not like anyone else knows how he's in bed. Let's talk to Steven in Florida. Steven, a lot of Florida people tonight. I appreciate Florida coming out. I'm excited for the surprise of the election night when Florida goes blue, because you all had the audacity to put a 6-week abortion ban in and then not think about the fact that they'd be able to put a constitutional amendment on the ballot. I'm not positive it'll happen, but that's my what's the word, upset scenario that I feel pretty okay about. I think women are smart and they'll do it. Anyway, Steven, how are you?
Hey, Jimmy Snow, I heard you had a podcast.
What? Jimmy Snow has a podcast available where podcasts are. So you're a Trump supporter, huh?
No, sir, I'm not. I was going to tell you the abortion ban is in Florida. It's Amendment 4.
Yeah.
I plan to vote for women to make their own choices with their own bodies.
Mm-hmm.
Sir, Jimmy, I want to say, first of all, before I start, I love how you try to connect with everybody.
Thanks, man.
I love that. You've taught me a lot as an atheist, along with Matt. I know you kept getting called Matt. You're not Matt. You guys have taught me a whole lot, and I actually called the show to get your advice because I do respect you that much.
Tight. Lay it on me.
So, sir, I've never voted, and I was more drawn to Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
Sure.
And I feel like, sir, he got a bad rep. When I look at the Democratic convention, my only problem with it is the last time they had a convention, and I'm not too familiar with all the names, so I might mispronounce it too, Kamala
You got
Harris.
it? Yep.
She was the first person to drop out of the Democratic Party when they had a convention. She didn't have any support in her own party. And so my only problem with that is that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. would have challenged her had the states been able to vote on a candidate.
Yeah. So Stephen, I hear you. That he probably would have been the second most popular choice, potentially. Could be.
Yes,
however, probably not. And let me explain to you why, Stephen, and maybe this will put your mind at ease. First of all, in the convention, because it was non-contested originally, the delegates were already chosen. And because Biden had won it, they were all Biden delegates. So you aren't going to flip Biden delegates to RFK in enough numbers. Maybe you get a few, but in enough numbers to switch it. Second, why did they go with Harris instead of going for an open convention when she wasn't that popular the first time around? Well, two things. One, she now is the most qualified person to be the next president. 4 years of vice presidential experience is actually something, as shown by the fact that the person we elected last time was the one who was the 8-year vice president. That is actually important. But second, there was already hundreds of millions of dollars of fundraising and fundraising campaign money, and that do they operate under an LLC or corporate? When they did their I can't remember what it's called, like order of organization or whatever it's called. It's under both of their names, Biden and Harris, which meant to campaign and keep a hold of that money, Harris is the de facto person who has to be on the ticket. Otherwise, all that money, how they would have to handle it, I don't know, but they wouldn't have the option to use it. And then additionally, everyone knows that that is the case. Like if Donald Trump falls out tomorrow, something happens to him, decides he is tired of people trying to shoot at him, he doesn't want to do it. Clearly, J.D. Vance is going to be the nominee, right? When you would nominate a vice president, that is the second in command. That is the person who's going to do it. And so Biden was the one who won the primary. And as far as who a natural shift would be to, it would have been to Harris. RFK, even in a contested convention, would not have won. The delegates definitely would have swapped. But as a contested convention where it wasn't just Harris versus RFK, but Harris versus, let's say, Newsom versus Buttigieg versus whoever else you want to throw in there who are popular Democratic candidates and would have been part of that process, he wouldn't have beaten any of them. Now, the good news is for our discussion, RFK Jr. is out of the race. There's no option to bring him back. I think RFK Jr. would have been a terrible choice, but why waste time on arguing on RFK Jr. when you and I know that this November, barring the death of a candidate, which hopefully will not happen, barring the death of a candidate, Donald Trump or Kamala Harris is going to win. So can we just foundationally start there and talk about whatever questions you have and whatever concerns you have while making your decision on who to vote for?
Absolutely, sir. And I'll also add to that by saying I don't have my mind made, and I am a true atheist, so I'm open to facts and discussion and willing to change my mind. So it's not something that I have any ground to stand on.
Cool.
Again, I just respect you so much and
I appreciate
know
it.
how intelligent that you guys are. That
I got you. Let's stop
your
edging.
advice.
No more edging. Let's get to it. You know what I mean? Let's just get into it, Stephen. I don't need the compliments. It does nothing for me. If anything, it makes me like you less. So let's just go for the policies.
Okay. So my question then would be like in Wisconsin, they say that they can't change the ballot for to take Robert F. Kennedy Jr. off the ballot, but they're changing the ballot and replacing Joe Biden's name with Kamala Harris's name.
Kamala.
Do you think that's a double standard, or do you like how does that work out?
Wisconsin and every other state starts printing their ballots after the convention because the convention is considered the moment of commitment. He had filed, and they had no convention process in place. That filing was done for RFK after all of that. So ballots are beginning to be printed, but more than that, he's past the commitment dates. So, Stephen, it's not a double standard because why would Wisconsin be holding that Biden's going on the ballot when Biden hadn't been officially nominated? Biden was never nominated. Biden was never actually put on the ballots or declared the person who he put on the ballots. All he did was win the primary votes. But just like every other dumb democratic system we have in this country, that doesn't automatically get it for you. Not to say in that scenario, it's good. It's good that he was able to drop out before the convention because he chose to drop out. No, not at all a double standard. But why are we still on RFK Jr. when RFK Jr. has already endorsed a candidate also? So it doesn't matter. Well, he has said, don't vote for me. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, well, at that point, it's not really about RFK Jr. as much as it is like they obviously, and I don't support any candidate. Again, I was riding the fence.
Stephen, are you over 35 years old?
Yes, sir.
Great. You're on the ballot too then, Stephen. His name will actually be up there. And so anybody who desperately wants to vote for RFK Jr., even in every state that he's been taken off, they can write in RFK. They can write in your name, Stephen. They actually can't write in mine because I won't be 35 until March 5th of next year. I can't be president yet. I'm very sorry, everybody. You'll have to wait for that writing campaign for 2028. However, it doesn't matter, Stephen. What we're talking about here is not RFK Jr. There's definitely not a double standard in Wisconsin. The nomination happened and the commitment happened and he passed the dates. And that's just how it is. They might have tried to make a special exception, but sitting there, why would they? If they're already printing, if the process is already going, if it actually throws a fucking grenade in the toilet, why would they go, why do we have to take his name off? His supporters will have heard his endorsement and they could have written him in anyway. So it's not even, taking it off is only symbolic. It's not important to take it off.
I mean, yeah, I feel like, picking between the lesser of two evils is still choosing evil.
Yep. Correct. Correct, Stephen. And you should still do it.
Right. So that's where I like, again,
Stephen, if the options were Hitler or Donald Trump, I'd vote for Donald Trump. There is going to be an amount of harm that both presidencies cause. And that's why we call it lesser of two evils. And there are people on this channel who don't agree with the sentiment, but I agree. Lesser of two evils. But as I've already mentioned, one of them's a bowl of shit and one of them's all the shit that's ever been shat. You've got a spoon. You got to eat one. You will eat one. Come November and then January, you will eat one of them.
I mean, there's always a third option. If it's like between eating a bowl of shit or eating a bucket of shit, the third option would be what your life is taken, and you could choose that. There's always a third option.
There isn't always a third option,
one
Stephen.
Or two.
Stephen, you can leave the country if that's your.
But that's what
you can move.
That's what I was saying, though. So some people see the glass half full. Some people see the glass half empty.
They aren't
in
halves.
reality. In reality, the glass is refillable. So there's always a third option.
Stephen, Stephen, the majority of people in this country will live under, not just majority, practically 100%, except for those who die and are moving away anyway, are going to live under those people. So even if you can escape, Stephen, even if you can move to another country, or let's say you aren't alive anymore by whatever the reason is, personal choice or something happens to you, it's still good, it's still virtuous to vote in the better interest of the people who are remaining.
Yes, and I do, sir. Locally, like I said, Amendment 4 is going to be on the ballot, and I'm voting for women to make their own decisions.
Wait, Stephen, hang on, don't go past that. Let's stop there. Is it important for all women to make their own decisions or only women in Florida?
I think all women.
Great. Which candidate will restore the Roe v. Wade decision as law of the land going through Congress as law of the land? Which one of the candidates will do that and which one will not?
Well, sir, I mean, I know what you're trying to get me to say, but that's an unfair question because we don't really know. If she's the vice president right now,
we absolutely know her policy on it.
If she's the vice president now, we could ask why she hasn't done it then.
Okay, great. Would you like the answer, Stephen? Would you like the answer?
Yes, sir.
Sure.
Yes,
if Kamala Harris wins in November, that likely comes with a majority Congress, House, and Senate. Where do they have the majority right now, Stephen?
on the Republican side.
In the House, they have the Republican side. Mike Johnson is the reason why she doesn't do it right now. She can't.
Yeah, and I'm against Republicans for sure. I used this with the Ten Commandments when they were trying to be put in public schools.
Let's make it easier, Stephen. Stephen, we don't need to go down a different road. Let's make it easier. After November, which candidate is there at least a possibility of restoring Roe v. Wade in the country? Which one is it at least possible with, even if you don't know for sure the House will flip and will be able to? Which one?
Yes, sir. That would be more on the left side.
No, not more, entirely. In fact, what we know of Donald Trump is that he is proud of overturning Roe v. Wade, that most of the opposition where he's trying to act like, well, they won it at the states, and even though he has said he's going to vote against the amendment in Florida, even though he thinks the 6-week ban is too cruel. He is voting to keep the 6-week ban, Stephen. And we also know that when it comes time that he has become the president and Project 2025 stuff starts coming across his desk and his ability to maintain being the beloved character of the Republicans comes up, he's going to do exactly what he did when it came time to pick the Supreme Court nominees. Do you know who put together the lists of Supreme Court nominees that then he chose from to get Gorsuch, Coney Barrett, and Kavanaugh on? Do you know who made that list?
No, sir.
The Heritage Foundation. Who made Project 2025?
I would imagine the same.
The Heritage Foundation. Stephen, do you want the Heritage Foundation to be president again? Do you know what they are?
I don't want Republicans in power at all. That's what I don't agree with most of their stuff.
So if you don't want them to be in power, and I'm glad you used that word, the way to keep them out of power is to vote for their opposition. Yes, their opposition is, in my opinion, also a lesser evil, but it prevents their greater evil in a specific value that you yourself said you're going to go out and vote this time around. And I'm glad that you're doing it, Stephen. But these are the options. And the women in your life and around this country are going to be affected by that decision, even if you escape it. The country does not have a third option, even if you do.
Yes, sir.
You feel me?
Yes, sir. I do.
Any other questions or thoughts or opposition you'd like to present? Or are you now happily going to vote for... By the way, Stephen, if I can appeal to you in this way, if you really think that they're the same or one's barely better or lesser two evils thing, just think about how fucking funny it would be if Florida turns blue. And keep in mind, Stephen, Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis together killed 1 million people with their shitty COVID policies. So vote against Trump for that.
They did worse than that. I moved here from Colorado, and I'm failing my drug test with medical marijuana. We have to see a doctor in the state of Florida to receive medical marijuana. And companies that I've already worked for in Colorado that I was in good standing with, I was eligible to be hired all the way up until the drug testing process. And then they said I failed my urinalysis for THC. And when I presented my medical marijuana card, they said that there was no laws in Florida to protect me, that I still failed my drug test. And,
yes, that is true, there. Actually, Stephen. I was actually aware of that there are places where you still, just because it is legal there, even in Colorado, some state employees are faced with that, unfortunately, because of the federal ban on it. But no, Stephen, I feel you. But real quick, did you say that they've done worse than that or more than that? Because I thought you said worse. And I was going to say worse. Maybe. Okay. Stephen, I got to tell you, I think 1 million dead people is actually worse than not being able to work where they drug test. But that's just me, Stephen. That's just me.
Well, yeah, I'm not comparing it to anybody's death. If one person dies, that's tragic.
I'm just teasing you.
I think all life is sacred, and I value all life. I was just saying,
well, Stephen, that's not
corrupt,
true. You don't value all
the
life.
Republicans are.
Maybe conscious human life, sure, but all life, Stephen, you got bacteria dying by the millions inside you right now. You're not thinking about them. Those poor lactobacillus assholes. Anyway.
I mean, kind of. But if we find bacteria on Mars, everybody says, "Hey, we found life," and and then Republicans don't even consider embryos even life. So I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, life in other planets starts with like.
Stephen, I'm very confused by what you just said. You said Republicans don't consider embryos alive. Are you making a joke? Because the Republicans are the ones who consider embryos and fetuses and shit alive. They're the ones who want to end IVF. They're the ones who want to end abortion. So I'm very confused.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I don't really pay attention to even the parties. Like I don't even have cable to watch the news. Like I watch you guys on YouTube,
I'm very confused,
and I get
Stephen.
most of my news from YouTube.
All right, let me make it clear then. Fetuses are alive. They do not have a right to live at the cost of another person's body, period. They do not have the right to violate the autonomy of another person's body. They do not experience, for much of the time that they are in the womb, the consciousness that we consider the even the potential for consciousness, obviously, if they continue to develop, but in their current form, the line by which we are totally fine with letting people who have been alive 50 years and then they go into a certain type of coma and then they become brain dead. They aren't, but those people are alive too. They're just brain dead. But they're alive. So that's the difference. That is why abortion and whether or not the thing is alive or not. Guess what, Stephen? Sperm are alive. Eggs are alive. And with sperm being alive, if all life is equal in the grand scheme of things, I think that, Stephen, maybe some socks have seen some genocides in your life. I don't know. Certainly in mine.
Yeah.
It's mostly a joke, bud. All right. Anything else before I let you go, Stephen?
No, sir. Thank you for taking my call, and I look forward to hearing your podcast.
Thanks, Dan. Vote Harris. We'll see you.
Yes, sir.
I didn't mind that call so much. It was confusing. Bit of a roller coaster for me in places, but it was fine. It was a good call. Good call. Good call. I did have this one ready. Let's see. Oh, I'm excited for this one. I can't tell you how much. Andrew in Washington State is on. Well, I thought he was. Andrew in Washington State is on the line with Jimmy Snow on this special Cuz I Wanna. And don't you forget, if you're watching at home, that Jimmy Snow has a podcast available where podcasts are. Maybe all of the places. Anyway, Andrew in Washington, I think that this is going to be a good call. And the reason why I threw that intro on there is I bet we're going to get some views out of the clip of it. Andrew, what do you got for me?
How you doing? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
How you doing? Just before we start out, I just want to say something real quick. I came to this channel after I found Matt Dillahunty talking about religion and all that, and he's on the line a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the one that brought me here.
Mm-hmm.
And as an atheist, I really do like the discussions that you people that y'all have in regards to religion. I want y'all to know that I love you all very much.
Word.
And I really hope that I can get you guys to come to your senses.
And here I wonder if I can get you to come to yours, Andrew. So lay it on me. You're voting for Trump for what reason?
So I don't know if you guys will believe this, but I'm voting for Trump in 2024. But I wrote in Bernie Sanders in 2016.
Cool.
I did not vote in 2020 because I could not bring myself to vote for either candidate because at the time I was still brainwashed by MSNBC.
Cool.
So
we're gonna skip past the cliches and the loaded language. Get to the argument. All right, good enough.
The Democratic Party is at war with the United States Constitution.
Oh, wow. That's a lot. That is a lot. Go ahead and give me an example of their war on the Constitution.
The ban against quote unquote assault rifles.
And who has proposed the ban against assault rifles?
Kamala Harris actually said that she would enter the locked homes of Americans to ensure that they are handling their firearms properly, which is a clear violation of the Fourth Amendment. of the Constitution, they would need a warrant in order to.
So so essentially, you're worried about a quote that I'd like to pull up myself. So Kamala Harris said she would enter the locked homes of people to verify what the locks on the. By the way, can you get away from the dog guy?
Said, oh yeah, I'm sorry. They're my neighbor's dogs. So I was outside to get away from the kids, so they wouldn't bother me while I was on the phone. Alrighty, how's that? Go ahead.
Cool. So not as a policy, but as a quote, she had mentioned the police checking on whether or not your gun is adequately protected. And you feel that that is a violation of the Fourth Amendment, and that the Supreme Court, if she were to propose such a policy, even though she has not formally proposed such a policy, you believe that the Supreme Court would uphold that and not find it unconstitutional, and therefore her war against the Constitution is at risk of actually succeeding, it would sound.
All right. Well, with that, can I ask you a question? Did you know that the assault rifle ban and the standard capacity magazine ban has already been overturned by the Ninth Circuit, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals?
Any ban on assault rifles that I am aware of was, what are you talking about yesterday? There's not a ban. There wasn't a ban on assault rifles yesterday.
No, I didn't say yesterday. I said that, were you aware that
the assault rifle ban
12
expired?
12 states have banned AR-15s and assault rifles, quote unquote, including my state, Washington State. And that ban has already been deemed unconstitutional by a judge
Andrew,
in the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals.
So why are you supporting my point of, if it is unconstitutional and she actually actually wrote it as a policy, it wouldn't succeed? You're literally sitting here saying, Jimmy, you're actually right, because that's exactly what happened.
Well, that's the thing. Immediately after it was overturned, the Ninth Circuit, I can't remember exactly what they did, but it's something that they've only done like in less than 1% of cases, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but it's really low. And they overturned what that judge's decision and said that it is still constitutional. But the Supreme Court has already stated in Supreme Court versus Heller, where they stated that a gun in common use that is not both dangerous and unusual cannot be banned, because it would be in violation of the Second Amendment of the Constitution.
Yep.
That is why Judge, what's his name, Benavidez at the Ninth Circuit.
Are we going to return to the points that matter, or are we just going to go down what happened in the thing? I'm aware that often these types of bans, because those words are so fluid, don't succeed, and for them to succeed one day, we will probably need a different.
Well, my problem
SCOTUS
with these bans is they are unconstitutional.
Great, so we should change the Constitution. Honestly,
are all Democrat run that knew the Heller versus Supreme Court ruling.
Yes.
So they knew that this was an unconstitutional law.
Oh, Andrew, how dare they? I can't stand when states do that. Like, did you know that years ago, about 6 years ago, the state of Texas passed a healthcare law that was in direct violation of so many previous precedents that had been upheld by the SCOTUS as unconstitutional? And you're against that, right, Andrew?
I'm not saying that the courts always get it right.
Right, Andrew. This is what happens. Laws go into place.
You talking about Obamacare?
No. Actually, I'm talking about abortion. That they literally put unconstitutional.
Oh, the abortion.
They literally put in unconstitutional.
Honestly,
Stop interrupting me! Shut the fuck up, Andrew! You can't let me finish a fucking sentence yet. I'm like, I keep trying. Okay, thank you. I'm gonna calm down, but fucking Christ, let me talk when I'm talking. This is how it works, Andrew. They pass new laws when they think something is wrong. And from their perspective, these aren't normal weapons. This isn't what the founders had in mind. I'm also fine with amending the Second Amendment or changing them. I definitely would be fine with other laws, but you're sitting here going, they are unconstitutional when they are not actually putting any legislation up that would ban any. And as far as their history of remarks, as we already did with another caller, Andrew, they're basically the same. In Trump's book, he writes in advocacy of an assault weapons ban. Okay, that's where they're both coming from. As far as administrations, the Trump administration issued an unconstitutional executive order on bump stocks. So once again, if you're going to go with current policy presentation, neither of them are proposing any significant gun control. The only things you're seeing from the Democrats are the same things they always say and then never do, but 90% of the country wants, universal background checks and the like. And as far as score goes, which one has a worse record? Donald Trump's record on guns is worse. But are you really a one-issue voter and think that because they would like to, they may have different values in their heart of what they wish the gun reality in the country was, that they're the ones who are a threat to the Constitution? Now,
right.
I'll give you this, Andrew. I'll give you this, Andrew. Actually, I will tell you this.
You just interrupted me. Now you're interrupting me.
Sir,
like you
actually, I wasn't done. Sir, I wasn't actually done.
Okay.
Sir, I wasn't done. I'm going to
Okay.
now give it back to you after this, and I'm going to try to find common ground with you. In 2016, Hillary Clinton was the one claiming that there was some fraud going on as far as the vote goes, and that there was bad things going on. I don't know if you remember this, but I thought it was wrong for her to say this. This is the most unconstitutional thing I can give the Democrats. When she said, a massive fraud of this type and magnitude allows for the termination of all rules, regulations, and articles, even those found in the Constitution. Would you agree? Can we at least agree that that statement is calling for the abolishment of the Constitution because a person is basically a sore loser?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat the quote again?
Yeah, sure.
My son came out, and I just missed that part.
Right. So she's a sore loser about losing the election and wants more challenges of it. And she says a massive fraud of this type and magnitude allows for the termination of all rules, regulations, and articles, even those found in the Constitution. Can we find some common ground and agree that that is calling for the abolishment of Constitution and that there is a place we could build from?
I'm not sure about that specific thing.
So you're saying the quote. You're saying wait.
Hang on.
No,
Please,
Andrew, you're trying to jump off.
But you threw out a lot of things, and you keep interrupting me.
I gave you the one quote.
I don't want to speak on that, but you said that you asked me if I'm a one policy.
Andrew, see, this is why I'm interrupting you, because you're avoiding the question. Is it saying that you would like to terminate all rules, regulations, articles, and even those found in the Constitution? Is that or is that not an anti-Constitution position?
I would say so, yeah.
Right. Donald Trump actually said that in 2020.
Okay.
Right. Which party, Andrew, which party's anti-Constitution, since you just said that is an establishment of an individual being anti-Constitution, calling to terminate the Constitution because they were a sore loser about the election?
I don't want to go back on guns, but you just said that nobody has banned assault rifles. 12 states have, including mine.
We were talking about we were talking specifically against Trump
to buy an AR-15 as a veteran.
We were talking about Trump and Harris. Neither of them have done it.
And then I got hit with Biden inflation.
Mm-hmm. Biden inflation.
Harris inflation.
Hey, do tell me, Andrew. Andrew, tell me about that Biden. Tell me about that Biden inflation. How did Joe Biden cause inflation in every country except for he made sure that in our country it was the lowest?
A lot of countries use the dollar. They depend on our economy.
So your assertion, Andrew, is that Joe Biden is responsible for inflation, but Donald Trump, stop it for a moment. So Donald Trump, who added tariffs, very large tariffs, to our imports.
Which Biden kept.
Andrew, don't get me started on how fucking stupid I think it is that Biden kept that. But you don't think a contributing factor,
his vice
Andrew,
president.
Andrew,
Did you know Dean
Andrew,
Phillips has
Andrew,
more electorate by
Andrew,
vote than Kamala Harris?
Andrew, are you
Talk about a
ready to
threat to
stop
democracy.
interrupting, you dumbass? Andrew, this ain't your
I'm the
show.
dumbass.
Shut the fuck
You
up.
guys
Andrew,
have
you
given
can't.
atheists a bad name.
Andrew, oh, are we giving atheists a bad name? The person who can't fucking not interrupt, we're giving the bad name? Andrew, you're literally supporting.
That guy
Shut
called,
the fuck
that
up.
guy said it,
All right, I muted you now because you can't fucking behave like a little boy. I have to put you in a little timeout there, Andrew. You are literally voting for a person the Project 2025 Heritage Foundation backed. You could say, oh, he says he doesn't like it, but Agenda 47 also has tremendous overlap with it, and they're the people who pick the Supreme Court. You're sitting here saying, we're giving atheists a bad name while you are supporting a person who is trying to install Christian nationalism under the guise that, well, they want to get rid of the Constitution, even though he called for it. And he didn't call for just some. His exact quote was, all of the rules, regulations, and articles, even those found in the Constitution, all of them, all of them. Andrew, we're giving because I actually sit here and bring to you facts and you just repeat assertions and you try to interrupt and not allow me to finish the point about the fact that actually inflation was made worse. It happened worldwide, as often does happen in the massive conflicts that we've been seeing, and having to cut off Russia as a supplier. I got fucked by that. I'm a woodworker. You know where the best fucking plywood comes from? It's called Baltic birch. It's the best. And I don't have access to it anymore because of fucking Russia. So it fucked up our supply. You know what else fucked up our supply? The tariffs that were Donald Trump's tariffs. Putting that on, and yeah, Biden kept them because he's a little bit fucking, I don't want to use the word handicapped in that way, but that is the appropriate verb, by, not handicapped generally, handicapped by the fact that this tax cut doesn't expire and he didn't have the support to overturn it. So he has to keep revenue up because of the dumb optics. We measure things. Oh, Andrew hung up. Oh, Andrew, oh, you couldn't wait for your turn. You just have to, if you can't talk over the host, it's not worth it. It's not worth it to you if you can't talk over the host. Are we giving atheists a bad name by insisting on facts? By actually asking you to fucking shut the fuck up when I'm talking? Is that what's happening, Andrew? Oh my God, what a fucking boob. All right, let's go talk to, I think the name was Levi, but my thing got all fucked up. Levi, where are you from? Are you in Colorado? Is that who you were?
Yes, I'm from Colorado.
Word. And are you an atheist or a theist?
I'm an atheist.
That's cool. And who are you voting for?
Nobody, really, because I believe that there should be a leftist revolution right now, and if it's getting to the point where you have to choose between two, like a moderate conservative versus an ultra conservative, it's just like, what's the point? Just destroy the whole thing. Like, I don't like.
Yeah,
if
yeah,
the
Levi,
game is going to be rigged against me.
Are you white, Levi?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not at all surprised. I'm not at all surprised that white men can't see. Well, I mean, let's just revolution. Who are all the people who are going to get fucked in it? Revolution is the final thing you do. And right now we have not exhausted the options of democracy. We've just continued to win the argument. And Levi, guess what? We're actually starting to win the fucking thing. And as we're starting to grow and win the fucking thing, as more and more people are radicalizing, as more and more people are recognizing we don't have an actual left, and as we are actually heading left more than ever in history, you're going, well, now's the time that it's not worth it. Now, of all the decades, the one where more and more people are identifying as leftists, the more that we're able to actually look at how Biden ran and then look at how Biden was president and how far he got pushed on several issues. The guy literally tried to run so moderate and then got pushed to moderate center, not quite right of center, but not far off right of center. And by the way, we're not talking about the two options are both ultra-conservative versus conservative. We're talking about authoritarian fascism versus a side that is still fundamentally, at least domestically, democratic and advocating for democracy. The idea that this is the time of revolution when we are making so much progress, and if we do go to war, the revolution starts now, Levi, we fucking lose. They have more guns than us, and the U.S. military and the militias are against us in this scenario. So you're basically saying, what I really want is for all of us to die, because I think in that scenario, I'll somehow survive and maybe what? Flee to New Zealand? Go ahead, Levi.
Oh, well, you kind of gave me a mouthful there, so I'm just trying to piece together everything you said. For one thing, the whole Biden thing, I'm not totally sure, like, what to trust. I've heard certain leftist talking points say, oh, look what he did. He forgave student debt. He did this. He wasn't that bad of a president after all. And then I hear from all of the people that I know close to me that didn't really see a difference between a Biden presidency and a Trump presidency.
Then they're dumb. Then they are dumb people, unfortunately. Get some less dumb
really,
friends. If you can't see the difference, get less dumb friends.
Really a healthy way to describe people, like, is dumb, like, just because you don't agree with them?
I think that if a person is going to call in and say, I'm compelled by the anecdotal information because I can't tell how things were different when, first of all, if Trump had won, we would have then been faced by the fact that he still continued to not have a distribution plan and also was hostile to states that were so much as insulted him in any way, and therefore would have also distributed vaccines thusly. Also that his economic policies and tax breaks for the rich would have continued to explode the deficit, restricting even further social programs' ability to help people. They're basically sitting there and going, at the end of the day, I still got DoorDash. So even though I don't think I was personally affected because I can't know how it would be different if I hadn't been able to get those vaccines, if we hadn't had the infrastructure improving in the Inflation Reduction Act, if we hadn't had policy after policy that Donald Trump wasn't going to do. And by the way, if Donald Trump or if Biden hadn't also expanded elements of the ACA and added $35 caps to insulin for diabetics on Medicare, and is now pursuing expanding that universally, which no such thing is coming out of the right side. The fact that they can sit there and go, I'm not seeing it when it super affects people. And worse than that, Donald Trump winning in 2024 is still affecting people today, but your friends can't see how fucking little girls bleeding out because they can't get the abortion they need because of their rapist. They were raped and need to now either go to another state, but they can't see it. They're not bleeding out in any cars. Yes, Levi, I'd call that fucking dumb. That's the nicest word I have for it, Levi.
Okay. You know, I don't know. I'm just sick and tired of having to like as progressive as you say people are becoming, like more of these people are figuring out that they are powerless to do anything about it because their unions are fucked because of generations of both Democrats and Republicans weakening them over years. And now we're at the point where, yeah, people are upset about it, but what can they do about it other than just vote cyclically for Democrats till the end of time?
Incorrect. They can vote locally and they can stop being activists only the year of the election. They can organize, they can community organize. And again, Levi, you're sitting here and saying and yet our progress has been more successful than ever, including on the thing that I hold the hardest against Biden and Harris, which is how they are handling Gaza. But the fact of the matter is the fact that there is even any limits that we're able to speak about it at all, not just on the U.S. level, but also international level. And we aren't saying, by the way, there's no restriction. And Biden's allowed to come out and talk mad shit about Netanyahu. Again, not doing enough. I still hate the bastard for how he is handling it. legitimately. But the fact that it's even different than it's been since the 90s when this problem became much more prevalent is a sign of that progress. So Levi, once again, my problem with your position is I don't see it as a problem. I don't have a problem. And I apparently don't even see the progress that we're making because I feel like it should be going much faster or it should be much more radical. And I would love that too, Levi, but progress is progress. And right now, whatever revolution you think is going to change it is going to make a lot of people much worse off, is going to push more people into poverty, and will end up killing a lot of people. What you're describing isn't a revolution, you're describing a civil war. And it isn't going to happen. And even if you could somehow get it going, Levi, and I suspect it's not going to be you who gets it going, I don't even think Hassan could pull it off. We would lose.
Well, my mindset is if I can't win, I'd rather die fighting. Like, I don't know. That's just my
And yet
mindset.
you haven't, Levi. You called into my show. You're not out dying fighting, and I'm glad you're not, because that's just a bullshit thing people say.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Like, I just think that I think the left needs to be a little bit more aggressive than they've been. Like, sure, you can say there's more leftists than there's ever been, but like, sure. Like,
how's the community that you've been organizing of leftists to cause change in your community doing? Be the change you want to see, Levi. The fuck you think I'm doing here?
That I was currently in a position where I can organize right now.
Right.
Like,
I'm not asking you to organize into a revolution. I'm asking you to organize into a, hey, guys, let's work with this group and distribute flyers. Levi, when's the last time you phone banked for a leftist candidate?
I don't know, like last year.
Great. Well, leftist candidates needed you this year, but you're going to pick up a rifle, I guess.
I don't know. Like, it's interesting that you say that, like, revolution is the last resort, because I've heard a lot of leftists online say we only need the revolution until enough people are convinced, then we have the revolution. So I don't know.
In a democracy with votes, we don't have to kill people. If you're talking about a revolution like the American Revolution, but right now, if you actually successfully convince the country that there was a leftist revolution, the South would ride again, Levi, and we'd all fucking die. And I'm mad at you because you know I'll die before you do. Because I'm down here in Texas now, not in the beautiful state of Colorado that I miss every day. I'm dying quick. They're coming for my queer ass. That's why I have an assault rifle. Fucking I sleep next to the bitch. Levi, go do way more work and then talk about how you're excited for a revolution. Go be a part of the soft revolution, the cold revolution, the one that doesn't require anybody to die.
Well, unfortunately, I don't know. I think that there needs to be a lot more violence heading to the upper
and
class,
I think you're full of shit. I think that you are actually just cosplaying a revolutionary.
Huh?
I think you cosplay revolutionary. I think you aren't. I think this whole I think there needs to be this. I think that, and I think you want other people to do it all, and you won't do the basic work to see what kind of impact you have, but you're calling for everybody else to rise up and for violence to happen, and it would be violence that you would lose and I would lose, and calling for this kind of violence is dog shit. However, we're not going to continue the conversation from there because I don't know what the limits of even letting you fuckers say this kind of shit on air is like. So I'm making it very clear. Political violence is a pussy bitch ass move when voting is still an option. Goodbye. Oh, I said it. I shouldn't have said pussy bitch ass. Coward move. I love pussy and ass. And I love bitches. It just came out. I'm sorry. This is my apology. Here's my YouTuber apology. I said some things on a broadcast that I have grown from, and I want you to know that that does not represent who I am, you pussy ass bitches. All right, moving on. Let's talk to Christian in New York. Christian, what's up? Oh, hang on, I gotta unmute. I muted Levi. Christian, are you gonna advocate for a violent revolution? Because you're saying the stupid thing about You want the country. Let me finish the fucking question, guy. You want the country to go so to shit that the only option is leftist revolution, which means you want people to become leftist, not because they've been convinced and not because we've exhausted democracy, but because they are so desperate that they would essentially be willing to consider things that otherwise would be called political terrorism because the damage being done to them is so significant that the alternative now looks good. You don't want to win the argument. You want to conscript people into your fake war. Is that about right?
I wouldn't exactly say all that.
I know you wouldn't.
I'm okay with a nonviolent, some kind of leftist push.
Great. Vote. Organize.
Issue.
Do shit.
My issue is I don't think that it's feasible. You know, we've seen a larger rise of far right extremists also gaining more visibility, more even power in the country,
and getting more guns.
And I don't think that even if we did, if Trump were, not elected in this election, that they are going away anytime soon. I think they're going to still grow in strength.
So how do we identify whether or not you're correct or that this is the death throes of Christian nationalism? I guess what you would expect is if you looked at the demographic trends of other people, the generations that are rising up, do you see the same trends? Now, we see some trends that are negative. There seems to be a resurgence or an insurgence right now of Gen Zers and Gen Alpha people who suddenly are liking people like the Andrew Tate bros. However, despite that being true, there is an extreme decrease in religious philosophies of Christianity. So it's basically a bunch of penis havers going, how do I keep the misogyny with the rest of this? So now we're looking at those generations and going, God damn, I can work with the lack of Christianity if that means all I have left to help them deconstruct from is their misogyny or whatever the other issues are. I think that's what you would expect it would look like if in fact we are making progress and that isn't going to be a significant an issue in the future, and that is the reality we find ourselves in, and that is the best case for why this is in fact a death throes of Christian nationalism, and not a proof that it's going to be worse than ever. Now, that said, they are loud, they are large, and they are powerful, and there's nothing that says that there isn't a chance that they will win before the new generations come in. And in that way, we do need to protect ourselves. But that's more of a self-defense sort of thing than a revolution sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I see all of that, right? We like you said, we already see the statistics of the decline.
But you feel something else,
but also,
I think, is where this is going.
But we also know that the far right has been consistently growing and has more of a map than we do during these days of how to keep gaining influence. And
actually, Donald Trump's approval has gone down. The leader of these people, his approval has gone down, and you have a larger insurgents. I keep using that word. You have a larger group of people who are going to vote for him now because he is the option, as opposed to the passion they had for him in 2020. So it was an increase of 2016 to 2020, and then an overall decrease. And now you even have people who are part of the other larger group going, "Hey guys, I love Christianity, and to some degree I like Christian nationalism, but only within the confines of democracy and the Constitution." Mike Pence, the guy from Indiana who passed those terrible queer laws, says Donald Trump can't be president again. So again, you're making a lot of emotional arguments, but I don't see them rooted in actual data.
Okay, sure. I don't have, data and, at least not from me on their growing numbers and how effective the outright pipeline these days is still effective or not. But
do you think you should before you decide we should have a revolution?
Again, I'm fine with a nonviolent revolution. I just don't think it's feasible. Like, even if
how much organizing are you doing? How much organizing are you doing? I love Christian. I love Bernie Sanders speak of revolution. And Bernie Sanders put his fucking mouth where his money is, or whatever the phrase, money where his mouth is. And he organized and he ran and he did a lifetime of building up. And you know who's going to tell you there's been progress toward the left? Bernie motherfucking Sanders, because he was silently the one causing it for decades. There is progress happening and we are headed the right direction. And yet a lot of people want to see more Bernie Sanders, but they aren't interested in being a Bernie Sanders. They aren't interested in community organizing. They aren't interested in phone banking. They aren't interested in literally doing the things because, guys, tonight I got to play my Fortnite. I got to fucking do what I have to tweet about how bad the election is. I have to go on Reddit and brag in a YouTuber's subreddit how I'm not going to vote, that the lesser of two evils argument is just bullshit. And then we're still going to get perhaps the greater of two evils, and they're going to do fucking nothing because these fuckers think Reddit is activism. Go do shit. And if I hear from a person, if Josie from TACIS comes to me, who actually is one of the most hardworking activists I know and is fucking doing it, and she said to me, Jimmy, I think it's probably going to take revolution. I'm realizing this is all for naught. And from my thing, while I would still want the information and the data, she would at least have weight to compel me to go, fuck, are we fucked? Are we fucked on this, Josie? Shit, this sucks to hear. But when somebody calls in and is like, I don't know, the vibe out here, I'm chilling in New York and I just don't think it's going to like, go put your money where your mouth is.
Yeah, I see that, and you're definitely right. I definitely could be doing a lot more on the front of, pushing more, not just speaking more, but also doing more physically.
Do it. Fucking do it, man.
But my worry is
kiss it on the mouth.
It's all gonna be for naught. You know what I mean? Like,
hell yeah, bro.
If there's a greater threat in the future.
What am I doing here, man? You think I'm not worried it's all for naught? You think I'm not worried the fascists aren't going to win? My solution is counter-fascist programming, anti-fascist programming. And I do participate in other ways as well. Unfortunately, the last year where I wish I was able to do a lot more, I've had to do basically just focus on the channel and this stuff. But brother, what do you think I'm fucking doing here? Have you heard me talk about how much I like being a public figure? I don't know if people just don't believe it. I fucking hate it. I fucking hate being a public figure. The reason I am on the screen right now and doing the podcast is because I think I have to. And by the way, Christian, that's literal. I actually can make enough money staying completely behind the scenes at the line and be fine. I'd be able to survive fine. I don't have to get on the screen. But unfortunately, right now, on a Saturday night, randomly, 2,000 motherfuckers are here to chill with me. And hopefully having these conversations not only will help the callers, but will help model how to have conversations with some people and which people to give up on, like fucking whatever that asshole's name was, Andrew, which people to give the fuck up on. By the way, 2,000 of you in the chat, could you just mash that little heart thing in the live chat? I want to see if I can just make it go bonkers. Break my computer, make that little live heart react just go crazy. Do something there. I got 2,000 motherfuckers in here, and that's why I'm doing this right now, Christian, and I fucking hate being a public figure. And I'm not sitting here trying to get up on the cross, though I'm recognizing that I just did that a little bit. I'm the martyr, whatever else. Go do shit that's uncomfortable, man. Go do stuff do the work, man. Put your money where your mouth is.
You're definitely right on that. I still think future's bleak, but you're right. I definitely should.
Hell yeah, brother.
I don't entirely know what'd be best to do.
Oh, just go complain in a subreddit. That's the best you can do. No, I'm just kidding. No, man, look, there's lots of initiatives. If you want to pick a charity, if you want to call in into your or go support good people. Go look up who the leftist candidates in your area are that are running for local elections. Phone bank for them. always support awesome charities like Doctors Without Borders. If you want to do something on, it does help for the political ends of these things too, even though they're not political movements. A more skeptical and deconstructed from religion populace is going to make better decisions. So if you also want to become a volunteer for recovering from religion, where you help people who are going through crises as they're deconstructing, you have the potential to, you shouldn't try and politically influence them. But it just turns out that the better people are at skepticism, the more they are able to look out at society the way they did at their religion and go, this all fucking sucks. Let's switch it out for something else. That's what you got to do, my brother.
Right. Yeah, give it a go, college try. I don't think it just doesn't look great.
I feel it, man.
don't see how we get rid of all the people that are regularly saying and doing what they're doing.
First we open camps. No, I'm just kidding. We win the argument. And you know what, Christian, the saddest thing to me is if we succeed, it will probably be late in my lifetime and I will only get to see a piece of that world before I go. How bad do you feel about like some of these people who are a couple generations ahead of us? You know, Dillahunty's not that much older than me, but he's, a bit, what's he got? Like 20 years on me? If I'm saying I think I'm only going to I might get to scratch and sniff the better society I want to see if we succeed, that means he's probably not going to get to. He's working for a world that he wants to exist after he's gone. And think about everybody who came before you, Christian, who is working toward that world, and they didn't get even close to it. Think about all the people who were working toward the Civil Rights Amendment, and they never got to see that see that through, the civil rights laws, the overturning of... Just in general, we're on the fucking backs of people who got to see much less and worked harder. So go work more.
Yeah.
Word.
I'll do what I can, but yeah.
Hell yeah. All right. Thanks, Christian.
Yep.
Peace. Oh, they hung up. Blaze called back, and I was like, the fuck are you talking about? Does Jimmy believe all political discussions are black and white versus opinion? I think that you can believes both sides are biased was the notes given. Of course there is bias, and everybody has bias, and you should work against it. But the whole point of advocating for skepticism is to advocate for a world where every belief is taken on sufficient reason. And the problem isn't, well, that's just their opinion. That's just their opinion. Yeah, but they're based on whether the things they say are facts are actually fucking facts. And it just fucking turns out that they're not. And that's my problem, guys. That's why I'm here against my will. Actually, the real reason I'm here tonight specifically is I'm kind of sad. There's just been some sad things happening in the last 24 hours. And I was like, I need to fucking distract myself. I'm going to go live. I just, there's just some life stuff going on. It'll be fine. And ultimately life will probably be eventually better for all of it, but just some things in life happened that was making me kind of sad. And I was like, but generally why I'm here and doing the podcast and stuff is if you're going to call in about all the things that need to happen and you're not even going to vote, but you can't list off the other fucking shit you're doing, the candidates in local elections you're not phone banking for, then I give a fuck what your opinion is. I am fighting the revolution by super chatting my favorite leftist streamer. I even like these leftist streamers. I just hate a lot of their audiences. But, I think Vosh is a cool guy. Hassan was the one I was thinking off the top of my head. I've done stuff with Vosh in the past too. I like a lot of leftist streamers, but their audiences really fucking suck. Let me see. Let's end we're going to end calls there. Thank you so much to Jess who did our call screening tonight. At last minute, by the way. What a hero. Because I think I asked at 5:50-ish if anybody would screen, and then we were on by 6:45. So that was the deal here. We can do some super chats. You guys want super chats? I didn't technically promise them, but I'm happy to do them. We can do them. You guys sent money. Let's read those out. Does anybody give a fuck? It looks like, this is where the number's going to drop. Thanks to the 2,000 of you. What did I call them? Pussy-ass bitches who are here. I shouldn't have used that term, and I should really stop using it. I wouldn't use it actually directed at a woman. I think I talked about that on Threads. I got in a debate in VR with a woman, or just an argument with, and She was literally like defending a fascist who said he wanted me to be executed for being gay and fed to pigs, and saying I was a bully for basically making fun of him and roasting him for it. And we got in this fight, and bitch slipped out. And it was like the first time I'd called somebody, a woman, a bitch in anger, in not some jokey way with like my friends in a long time. And I felt fucking horrible. And it's just sucky when things like that happen and you're like, oh, good. I'm now going to have to apologize to a person because I did just use a sexist epithet in a way that I can't argue wasn't sexist, at least probably latent sexism that's just still somewhere back there. I'm going to apologize now to the person who's literally defending the person who wants to have me executed. And I did. I ended up apologizing to her. I think that night I acknowledged I shouldn't have said it. And then a couple nights later, actually apologized for it. But it's one of those dumb things where you're like, can't believe I'm apologizing to it. But we have to maintain our values. It's one of those things where we're good our values if they're so bendable. Not that everything has nuance, and there are some values that there are considerations. But that was one of those ones that blew, that felt so bad to do. And it reminded me of when I was a kid. Oh, guys, fucking, I'm not going to get into the Vosh fucking drama. The guy likes porn or some shit and had weird porn on his thing that could have looked bad. And I understand the explanation actually was reasonable or whatever. The people who I trust to assess whether it was a big deal said it wasn't a big deal, but also fucking move on with your lives. YouTuber drama is so fucking dumb and obsessing over that shit. Donald Trump, it may be president again in November. And you guys are talking about, I give a fuck about that shit. Unless there's clear, like, look, if somebody was like, he clearly abused people, that's what's going on. But I don't know. Like I said, the people that I trust to make the assessments were like, it looked bad, but it was not near as bad as it actually looked. And his explanations made sense. And he's worth giving the whatever. Get a different life than following YouTuber drama. Not to say that you have to follow any YouTuber, but fuck it. Like, who gives a fuck? Who gives a fuck? All right, moving on. Oh, I've had drama. Moving on to the thing. Getting rid of the name tag. How many of you fuckers are left? 1,800. All right, I'll keep doing them for a little bit here. Ski. Is that the button I need? Bloop. You can have both angles of me at the same time. I do. Which one am I going to look at? Round and round we go. Where I stop, nobody knows. Oh my God. Okay. I'm going to try to get through all the super chats that are in so far, but I should let you all know. Part of the reason why I cut off calls is that my stomach's starting to hurt from health stuff. So, feel free to keep sending, but I don't want to promise I'm going to get to the end of them. Know that I'm going to try, but there's a chance I won't. I think I'll get through everyone that's in here right now, but I might even try to move a little fast on this. Okay. Aron Ra says, I'm so conditioned to not getting Aron's name wrong. Aron Ra says, the curse of capitalism is that if it's not growing, it's dying. Yeah, it has a built-in expiration of usefulness. Laura says, remember to support Colin Allred and John Tester for the U.S. Senate. Donate, volunteer, and vote. I love that it would appear, I believe, Ted Cruz was actually overtaken in polling in the last week. Now, within the margin of error, but was still ahead only in the margin of error until recently, and now is 1%, polling 1% below. Businessman, really? So where's your DJT stock receipts? Ooh, that's some fucking fire coming in from Design Sonk 1. No fucking shit. How is that Truth Social doing? Jesus Christ. Joshua Everett says, thanks for a Saturday show. Jimmy gets $5 for the day and the topic. Appreciate you very much. Everyone remembers to register and help friends, family, neighbors register and vote for Kamala. Spread the vote. The election will be close. I actually want to throw a poll in the chat here. Which are you watching more? Top or bottom? Referring to the frames here, that I am in two frames at two slightly different angles. Which one does your eye watch when you decide to look at me? Or are you, I guess I should have put like equally moving between, but I don't abide you switch motherfuckers. Jim Morrell says, Jimmy's on fire. Glad he's growing the ponytail back. Not quite ponytail. I've never really ponytailed. I've done man buns, though. I don't like when people shit on them. And leftists will shit on them now. I'm like, these are good. I like man buns. DM1999 says, you are adorable, Jimmy. Well, that's appreciated. Kazumi says, Walls is a fantastic speaker. Harris is not. I just don't agree. I like her style. I think that she has a more, a style that white people are less used to, maybe. But it's also why if I had to go back to a Christian church, I'd definitely go to a black church. They are way more fun. I like the audience participation in black churches. I don't know if there's at any level this is fucked up to say, but seriously, I've always thought they're just more lively and fun. I don't know. Somebody give me a pass on that one. Ether says, hey, Jimmy, this is Ethan from 2 Sundays ago. I have the QR code stickers printed and ready to go. So it's your last chance to stop me from putting them up. Hopefully a surplus Tennessee call soon. I fucking love you for that. You are the real one for it. Thank you so much. Emily says, did you know that Jimmy Snow has a podcast? Crazy. It's available where, did I just show my nipple? Did you guys just see my nipple? As I moved off, I got a thing and I felt the edge of my shirt brush off. Did you guys just see nipple? I don't think so. I think as I'm doing this, it probably didn't happen. I can't have you guys know the mystery. I have a very peculiar nipple. It's blue. It's a blue nipple. Did you know that Jimmy Snow has a podcast from Emily? Crazy. It's available podcasts are, but a question for Jimmy. How are you? Did you eat breakfast, drinking water, fornicate with a cactus, Jimbo? I am pretty optimistic and hopeful. I solved, and I mean that, I solved what treatment was necessary for a symptom that has been really obstructive to my life for the last couple of years. And so right now I'm actually going through treatment for that. It's not easy, but it is, I'm very hopeful that it will, it's clear that it is having an effect. I'm hopeful that it will actually return a life to me. And it kind of seems like it's gonna. I'd actually go ahead and argue that I have already gotten some life back because for the first time ever, they're very adjacent foods, but is this thing gonna pop? Is this thing that I'm fucking with poppable? I shouldn't fuck with it too much. Did it pop a little on my finger? It might have a little bit. My finger's a little wet now. Gross. It just hurts. Whatever it is. I think it's like a sit. I think it's like a big one. You guys want to watch? No, I'm not going to do that. Anyway, I forgot what I was talking about. Oh, I got to eat 2 foods today that usually, for the last several months, hence the weight loss. I don't know if anybody's noticed that I'm about to hit, I think, 50 pounds off. It's pretty obvious. But I've been on a very strict diet for my health stuff. It's basically like the most extreme version of a low FODMAP diet. And I basically eat the same 5 foods every day. Chicken, occasionally very lean sirloin as the alternate protein. Rice, sourdough bread, but it has to be simple 4-ingredient sourdough. And it's the only kind of bread or gluten I'm allowed. And olive oil. Those 5 things make up. Oh, no. Olive oil is not the food. That's like what I cook things in. But potatoes are the other one. Can't really do the peels and stuff. But anyway, I don't think the top's a bit overexposed. It's just more exposed than the bottom. But there's no detail blowout. My hand gets a little bit when I get closer to the light, but where I usually sit, I think the exposure is correct. Could be wrong. Anyway, that's been my thing for months. And today, as opposed to just chicken breast, I had rotisserie chicken from Costco. Yeah, no seasonings. People asking about seasonings. Salt, but nothing other than that. No, I had rotisserie chicken from Costco, and I had salt and vinegar chips, and it did not yet ruin my life the way eating basically everything else was going. So we'll find out. Correct. Fruit and veggie, fiber and stuff had to be completely cut out while all this stuff was going on. In fact, with my condition as it is, and the symptom that I was experiencing that nobody was catching was likely this thing called bile acid malabsorption. Yes, fruit and veggies exacerbate it quite a bit. So basically it's the simplest. Now there were supplements, but anyway, doesn't matter. Continue on. Nobody cares about this. This is too much TMI anyway. I'm sure. Yep. Viewership falling off a cliff. Not that wasn't already happening because we moved to super chats. Monkey at a typewriter said, Levi, you aren't willing to die. You're willing to let other people get killed because you're too morally pure. So effing brave. Go fuck yourself, Jimmy, because you wanna. I feel like people from Colorado need to go see what it's like to be poor in Republican states because those are the people getting the fuck the most by it. And then they're sitting up there in their mountains just like, oh, if only you guys would rebel. Where's our revolution? By the way, can we get the companies to cater the revolution for us? Arsenic says, just go fuck yourself, Jimmy. Seriously, if you could, I'd kind of want to, I want to know how. It sounds nice, really nice. Anywho, so much luck to you from in November, Norwegians for Harris. I think you're asking me what my masturbation habits are, and I think that you would be surprisingly bored. It is probably as boring as it could be. Very just a functional thing. Raven 200 says, Jimmy, if you want to do a YouTuber apology, you need a ukulele. Go take a tsunami splash from Big Branson Reed. Did you know Jimmy Snow has a podcast? I remember tangentially being aware of that thing that happened. I just feel sorry for everybody who has to live on the internet. I believe she did some fucked up stuff, though. I don't remember what it was. But just the idea of like, if whatever these people do, no matter what they could do with the rest of their lives to redeem themselves, they will be defined by this moment. That's kind of sad. When the things are redeemable. If she was a pedophile or anybody was a pedophile, fuck those people. I wasn't saying that, but there are lots of things that people act very like, this has to be the end of your life. And I'm just like, God, so they never get to grow from it. They never get to improve. It's just sad life living on the internet. I've really come to resent it over the last few years after really thinking that this is what I wanted to do with my life. And I love some of the things I do with my life. I'm really looking forward to the day that I don't feel compelled to be at the front of it, on the screen of it. If Harris wins in November, that will probably be much sooner. I hope that doesn't make any of you hope Trump wins, but Moira Bonnie says, it was Moira, as I recall, Moira Bonnie. Love you, Jimmy. Thank you so much, Moira. LA Silver Surfers, you a real one. Thank you. Peter Skaggs says, have this. Excuse me. There it is. Okay. Ian Colson says, Jimothy, go yourself. Thanks for the random Saturday stream. Woolite says, sending money to my favorite leftist streamer. Give it on Jimmy Snow, not over here. Everybody else gets a piece when I do it over here. We run the company in a socialist way. It's all profit share. Give it just to me over on Jimmy Snow. No, I'm just kidding. It's great. I like streaming over here for that reason, because I do like that whatever. I gotta stop fucking with it. Why am I still fucking with that thing? It hurts. I'll put a heat compress on it after if I haven't already fucked it up. Anyway, Chris says, you are on fire, Jimmy. If people can't be bothered to participate in a political game, including party politics, then your opinion is irrelevant. If I can come to terms with voting for Harris, you sure as fuck can. Salty Seattle Cyclist says, am I a leftist activist now? At $20, am I a revolutionary? Yes, you are a general in the revolution. Thank you. Oh wait, this is $5. You could be a general in the revolution, but you're just $15 short. To become a general, we have a lot of capitalistic things you have to do along the way. I like how this shirt is starting to look like a tent on me. And I used to bust out of it. I used to not wear shirt. I'm wearing clothes that I wasn't wearing, and I'm tickled every time I get off. It's still like my brain hasn't actually comprehended that I've lost so much weight. So it's kind of nice, because every time I see myself in the mirror, I'm like, Jesus Christ, where'd I go? I look like I pooped out a whole person. Because I kind of did. That is kind of how the weight loss happened. Anyway, we got that one. Monkey at a Typewriter says, make sure you register any deceased relatives, vote as much as you can, and get those migrants to the polls. Or is this not what we're doing, JK? I know. I got to work on helping steal the election. Wow. Coy Dury. Wow. Jesus Christ. Thank you so much. Doesn't exist, Jesus Christ, but you do, and you are a real one for this. Coy Dury says, sorry you're dealing with whatever you are in your life. Hope whatever it is works out in your favor, and wish you nothing but happiness and success. Love you parasocially. Also go fuck yourself. Coy, I appreciate that very, very much. That is really, really kind of you. And I think the phrase love you parasocially is pretty hilarious. To almost like, it's like an acknowledgement. It's pretty silly. Thank you so much. Really, extremely, extremely generous. And you know what? That makes all of the sad things that happened today go away. No, I wish it was that simple. Anyway, it was still a very happy moment. Highlight of my day. $10 from Mr. Borica says, Boricua, actually. Jimmy's hair looks very luscious. Anyways, I'm a minority with many other minorities. I can't afford not voting for the blue ticket when I could potentially be rubbed out for existing I dislike. Yeah, it is shitty that these people aren't being more considerate of the consequences of their actions or inactions. Emery says, this super chat is for you to talk about the zebra in the room. Oh, it's on. That's just the default screen for the frame. It's one of those Samsung frames. I have used it in past productions because it picks up very well on TV, on screen. It doesn't necessarily look like a TV unless you have something directly reflecting in it. And yeah, man, the lower camera on my end in the preview looks like it's cutting out a lot. And I don't know if that's just the preview on my end, if it's actually streaming out that way, but it like jumps around a whole heck of a lot. It's a bummer. I know that you usually breathe out. I know that it escapes as carbon dioxide. What I'm saying is that it also is calorie deficit, and the state of my system because of the bile acid malabsorption meant that I also wasn't absorbing a lot of my food and nutrients. So I was actually at a very extreme calorie deficit as a result of, not extreme, I was surviving and I was getting enough calories to not be like, I wasn't literally starving. It's kind of like healthy weight loss in a way I would hate doing ever again because it fucking sucked eating just these same things. And my motivation to eat those same things over and over wasn't the weight loss. It was to make myself the least sick. Yeah, I see there's a slight different delay. I do like my hair long, to the person who asked that in chat. I would say I don't necessarily care for it much longer than this, and actually I would say a month ago it was at the length I liked the most. But I'll probably let it keep going. I wouldn't mind being Jesus for Halloween or something. Raven 200, butts and boobs for you, Jimmy. I'm a fair man. I am a boobs guy. You are right about that. Kai CD says, the lady that posted on Facebook about losing her cat, Sassy, then found her in the basement. She apologized to her neighbors using a translation app. That woman's values are stronger than JD Trump. Yeah. Yep. But still fucking funky that was what her mind went to. But at least she tried to make amends for her latent racism. Another one for Mr. Boricua. Been going through a GI issue, and I've been put on a very strict FODMAP diet as well. It's been tough looking for food that I can eat. Well, I'll tell you, the IBS and the FODMAP subreddits have a lot of really good information in them and a lot of people's success stories. So if you need a place to see if you can find who resembles you, but if you've had your gallbladder removed or have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease or any other liver conditions, I highly recommend you look into bile acid malabsorption, because it could be as many as 50% of people with IBS not realizing that that's what they actually have going on. I think 50 is probably not the right number, but I know it's a higher number than it seems reasonable. Ross Archer says it still sounds way better than RFK's roadkill diet. Yeah, that shit's weird. Did you actually read the story of him taking the whale's head home and how his daughter was with him? And like every time they would stop moving, the fluids from the head would just start oozing in through the windows. Fucking what a weirdo. Peter Skaggs says, man, all those health issues are your parents' siblings. Look, did you hear earlier when I told people what my DNA breakdown is? I'm an Aryan wet dream. So there's definitely, they're not siblings and they're not first cousins. They're not second cousins. But I couldn't tell you any further than that. There's going to be some inbreeding in my family tree. Arsenic 1987 says, no, God's sake, no. Don't care too much about your masturbates habit. 'Twas genuine a wish of luck with the shit over the sea and would love to know more on how you do all think the world sees you all. Oh, I think that most people think that America is an arrogant fuckface of a country whose power hasn't been evenly distributed and they don't necessarily deserve to be the biggest power in the world, the most powerful nation in the world. And I think they're probably right about that. Emery King says, I was hoping that the zebra was a giant stuffed animal. Can you get one and name it Roland? Would it be a zebra? I have a stuffed koala downstairs. It's actually stuffed with like these beads that you can heat the koala up at the microwave. I think a subscriber got it for me and sent it in to the PO box. But I use it as a heat pad sometimes. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. And unless another one comes in, this will be our last one. Pandora Bryn says, if you want to be actually informed about politics, watch the Majority Report. The display of political ignorance from the callers breaks my heart. Choose reality, not propaganda. I like, is that the Majority Report with Sam Cedar? I'll pick him up every now and then. But I actually don't think, I don't know. People need to learn how to evaluate all the news, but I understand as a content creator putting videos out on the news and stuff, I feel like I'm an intermediary, and the highest form is learning how to evaluate and reading many sources, which include reading the opposition. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. All right, everybody. Have you had enough of me? Because I've had enough of you. Actually, y'all are the good part of the job. Oh, Peter Skaggs just came in with a last. Got the last word in. No, I've missed you all. I don't have the credits ready on this particular output. So we're going to end the show the way we began the show with, I think, the best intro we actually have on the line. Here's some music and shit. Good night, everyone.